Hello, my fellow randoms. My name is Kev Duffy, and welcome to this, our 23rd, thank you, Michael Jordan, episode of What's Your Random Podcast, where I discover and celebrate independent and individual creativity from the inception of an idea to the process and the practicalities of bringing that idea to life. You've heard it before, and you heard it again. That's what I do here, and I hope that you enjoy it. If you do, I ask you to do two simple things. Please do subscribe. I mean, you don't want to miss an episode, do you? And then the second thing, because the second thing goes a very long way in helping us to grow, I ask you to please share. My goal with this podcast is to get the voice of my guests into the ears of fellow creatives so that they could find some commonality, some inspiration, some motivation, some ideas that resonate, some ideas that inspire, and other ideas that simply help us in our process as creatives. I want to tap into the ears of other creatives who will benefit and hopefully enjoy this podcast. And your sharing is the way that I'm going to do it. A little bit redundant here, but I appreciate it very much. So thank you in advance. My guests today, can you hear that extra S? Because I have multiple guests here on What's Your Random for the first time. 3 of them, in fact. They are part of the production company Tookany Creek Films, used to be known as Greaseball Productions, and they are Ruben Barsky, Sam Centrella, and Giorgio Panetta. It was a great conversation. I had a fantastic time, and you don't have a 3-hour conversation if you're not having a fantastic time. We touched on a lot of different things, but let me say, I was already very excited for their project, The Life of Peter Gottlieb, and I am now even more excited for it, which I wasn't sure was entirely possible. Let me read a quick description from their Kickstarter. Action comedy set in the late 80s with a big budget feel on an indie scale, a cross between Lethal Weapon, Caddyshack, and Roadhouse. And the Kickstarter page is still up. They were already successfully funded, but they do plan on doing another Kickstarter in the future. And even outside of the Kickstarter, they are still raising funds for this film, and they are, willing to cut people in on the potential profits. I won't even say if it's sold. I'm just going to go ahead and say when it's sold. I'm really excited for it. It is a throwback. It's throwing us back, but also bringing us forward, and allowing us to just kind of touch in again on some of that classic genre and that classic blue collar feel. And we talk about all of that, so I won't go into any deeper here because I won't do the conversation justice. Just listen to my wide-ranging conversation with the team from Tookany Creek Films, and enjoy the random. Now I could try to pronounce all of your names incorrectly.
Awesome. Rehearsals, man, we're used to it. No big deal. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, I missed hitting the record button, so I have to reintroduce for the second time my guests today: Ruben Barsky, Sam Centrella, and Giorgio Panetta.
Panetta.
Awesome.
Fuck.
Panetta.
Great start. Giorgio Panetta.
This time I could actually apologize.
No, that was fantastic. Great, dude. Don't sweat it.
These gentlemen here are here today to talk about their production company, Tookany Creek Films. Other people pronounce it Crick, as we visited before. And specifically their project, The Life of Peter Gottlieb, which was recently successfully funded on Kickstarter. So before when I did not have us recording, I asked each of them to kindly introduce themselves. And so we have a starting point for each of my 3 guests as individuals, and listeners and guests
bear with us because this is our first multiple guest show here at What's Your Random. So welcome, guys. And
thank you.
Giorgio, I'll pass the mic to you to introduce yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Giorgio Panetta. I grew up in New Jersey. I met these boys when I went to acting school when I was in my 20s, and we got in a company together and really just fell in love. Really found some great friends. We started working together, and basically the long and short of it, we were auditioning, working. We moved in together for a little bit, and these ideas started to come up, and we started our company a couple years down the road. And here we are with a full finished film, basically 3 years after the concept kind of came up, and we're just moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
You go next.
Okay. So my name is Ruben Barsky. And we went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. It was an acting conservatory, and we all met and we started. I come from, I'm a musician, and I grew up in Philadelphia. I had a band down there, moved up to New York when I was 21 to go to school, and started I do a lot of commercials and TV spots and theater stuff, and we got together under the name Greaseball Productions originally. And when we were in 2017, and we did little short films. I sent you a couple stuff and little funny commercials or whatever it would be, and just kind of riffing. And Peter came about a couple years ago, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But these are my best friends, and we have our company, Tookany Creek Films, which we newly enacted Tookany Creek Films, and we're super pumped for Peter.
I think you speak for all of us,
Yeah.
including the audience and listeners. It's definitely an exciting project.
Yeah.
And welcome.
Thank you.
Sam.
And yes, hello, I'm Sam Centrella. I am from New Jersey originally as well, down the shore, down near the beach, kind of. But yeah, like these guys said, I grew up. Fun fact: I grew up a dancer, and then I went into musical theater, and then I went to acting school where I met these guys. And as we all said, fell in love with not only with each other but with the work. There was like constant similarities of what we all wanted to say as artists and as writers and as actors, and that really bound us together. And fast forward, here we are, talking about it right now with you. But yeah.
Welcome. That's an interesting personal resume, CV to come from dance and
it was
a beat cop.
Quite quite a journey, but is this hooked? Okay, cool. Is this hooked? But yeah, yes. Anyway.
Yeah, so I'd like to start off because I do have all three of you here. I usually like to really get into the nitty gritty of personal evolution as storytellers and things like that. But because you guys are a group, I'm really interested in that dynamic. And specifically, I guess maybe we could start off with the introduction of how the life of Peter Gottlieb formed. The concept specifically, and you guys spoke to that quite a bit in the Kickstarter promotion. You mentioned that he was a character that kind of existed within your friend group, maybe. But I would like to get a little bit more.
Friend.
if you're able to talk about it in public.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would love to get a little bit more granular. Like, what was his where did he first come from? What was the first time somebody gave him a name? Who is playing the role, if anybody, when you guys were just shooting the shit?
Yeah.
And what was that evolution to the point where this character became like the basis for a movie?
So I think my first recollection of Peter, I always thought Peter was I think it's the funniest name ever. I don't know why. I mean, I know very serious guys named Peter, and you don't fuck around. But but my first recollection of Peter is I did this writing retreat, and I'm forgetting the the retreat. It was in Brewster, New York. And I remember waking up in the morning and it was us actors. And I would like, morning, hey, Peter, how you doing? And then like seeing another Peter and I would call them Peter. It was just all day calling people Peter. And then I guess whatever that happened, that translated into our friend group. And then we all became Peter.
Yeah.
You know, Sam's Peter, I'm Peter, Giorgio's Peter.
How are you?
And then we would have these late
Hey,
nights.
Peter.
And then we were just like hanging out late night and we'd put, you know, we like from Hook, you know, you're doing it, Peter, you're playing with us. Or,
Yeah.
Oh, there you are, Peter. Like all these
Yeah.
Peter scenarios came about through these riffs. I think we even
It was just riffs and us just like kind of breaking each other's balls and just kind of being idiots, being like, oh, hey, Peter, how you doing, man?
But it wasn't definitely not like a formed concept
Right.
until 2018. I'd say probably like spring of 2018. But we had like a really dark Peter incident where Giorgio was chasing Peter. Peter was a boy at this time. Peter was about 10 years old, and Uncle Giorgio's chasing around with a knife.
Yeah.
And then he's in a basement and he's looking for him. So then it becomes very Silence of the Lambs and then stabs this boy in the chest. And it's like, there you are, Peter.
Yeah. We had
It was all just a joke. It was made up. It was just
well, of course, it was all a big. It was
a big
all a
bit.
It was
Look,
a
when you
big
live with
goof.
when you live with two dudes in Brooklyn, you know, you make stories up to get through the day.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
You're up
You're
till 4 o'clock.
actors.
Yeah, just like riffing.
Yeah.
And so, well, from there, when it became like these little tiny bits and everything, then we were kind of like, oh, well, what if Pete? We just started like kind of what's that called when you put on top and on top and on top? What is
Just
that?
one-upping each other?
One-upping each other, escalating. Thank you.
Escalating, yeah.
And so we were just like escalating these. Yeah, I'll take some more coffee. Thanks. These situations, and then we finally were like, we ended up. Peter was like, he worked as like in finance at like a company, and like we wrote this sketch where he was in this board meeting, and he basically, it's so dumb, but he basically like shit it. He like shit his pants at a meeting.
Yeah.
And then In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins plays, and he leaves,
And he just
and like
leaves.
the
Well, he's in this boardroom. He's in
You
this
gotta do
board
the
meeting.
thing, okay.
You got to do the bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's
I
in
did
this
it.
board meeting, and whenever somebody's talking about something, and Peter's got a crazy idea, and he's working with somebody
Right.
else, and Peter's like, "Well, you're looking at me like I just
Like I got
shit
7
my
heads."
pants."
What?
What'd you say?
You just say you shit your pants.
No, and then
The whole room
and then the
starts
whole
to
room,
realize.
and then the boss is like, "Peter, did you shit your pants?" and he's like, "No." And then this girl, I guess whoever it was, Karen or
Yeah,
whatever her
Sharon
name
or
was,
something.
Sharon, you know, she's like, "Sharon, please."
Sure.
She's like, "Peter, no." And then this other guy, Richard, was
yeah,
with
Richard's
her.
like consoling her.
Yeah, and like consoling her, and then Peter gets up. He gets up to leave, and he's shuffling, so he's got to
'Cause he's got shit in his pants.
Walk going.
yeah.
Trying to hold in whatever
Trying
is
to
left
not-
inside.
To salvage whatever he's got going on.
Trying not to let the shit fall out of his leg, and then he gets to the door.
Yeah.
And right as he gets to the door, he says, "You know what? I did. Of course, I shit my pants." And then the drum roll for fucking In the Air Tonight, and he walks out. And then everyone goes to the window to see Peter walking out. And they're like, "He did it, son of a bitch. He did it." And it was so. And then he would get like hit by a bus or something.
Yeah, died. So
Yeah, then he just died.
that's just like a very I guess long example of like we just started to create these hilarious scenarios, and then we realized that what we were doing was putting all of the and we touched on this in the Kickstarter video of like all of the craziness and the darkness and all those things that like you come across, like all your demons and stuff. We're just putting those into like one guy named Peter. Not
Right.
just demons, but like how awkward he is, how uncomfortable he makes people. Like, and we're like, can we make this character like this like weird anti-hero kind of uncomfortable, awkward dude?
Yeah.
And then we started just again expounding upon that, and then eventually writing the script.
Yeah, it was really far out in I would say spring of 2018. We shot our first short film in September of 2017, Cold Water, which was something that Sam had written in like 2015, I guess.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that. I was
Cool.
able to check it out.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Oh,
Nice.
thanks.
Great
Yeah,
job.
that was
awesome writing.
and that was like shot for like fucking $200.
Yeah.
You know, we just had our
Nothing.
buddy. Yeah, nothing. Everything we do is pretty much
Yeah.
shot for nothing.
We had a couple apartments on a weekend.
Yeah.
We shot it, you know,
Yeah.
and a camera. You know what I mean?
Like around the corner. Yeah.
In our basement.
And a basement.
In our basement, and just using the apartment. One thing I do regret is that the apartment was clean. It was so clean. We like cleaned up the apartment
I know, to shoot it.
But it's like, this guy's he's a drunk. It would be a complete catastrophe in his kitchen. But we started
mostly close-ups too. I mean, the emphasis is on the character and the subject himself. So I don't think that was took anything away from what you guys achieved there.
Good, cool. And then, so that was it. We had that was in the works. So this whole thing was kind of in the works, Greaseball Productions, Tookany Creek Productions for a while. We all knew that we wanted to work together. We did this play in school. So Giorgio mentioned we were in company. So the Academy was a 2-year conservatory, with the third year being this acting company that they would invite, you would audition, they would invite, anywhere from 15 to 25 people. And we ended up, we had a pretty gnarly group of guys, like hellraisers to a degree, like, Richard Harris and Richard Burton, the three Richards, whatever they were. It was nuts. Totally different time. No cell phones, and we did this play. We all worked on this play together called Happy in the Poorhouse, which was by this playwright named Derek Ahonen, who was affiliated with this theater, who had this theater company called the Amoralist. And we loved those guys. They were this really hard, insane, funny, dark, violent, just like this visceral theater company full of savages. In New York. And it wasn't like anything I'd ever seen. They worked a lot with Adam Rapp, and they had all these great actors who also went to the Academy. Anyway, so we did this play and company called Happy in the Poorhouse, which is one of Derek's plays. And it took place in Coney Island, and we were all kind of like greaseballs.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and it's a very physical as well.
Very physical. And, it was like taxing. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah. Giorgio played this guy, Larry the Lab.
Oh, Larry the Lab.
Yeah.
Larry the Lab.
I came up with I had a ridiculous windsuit on. I took my jacket off, oiled my chest, shook the. It was just.
It's great.
Heavily oiled.
Yeah. Heavily oiled, and and like that feeling. Remember that how small that theater was? We pack it out every night. There's people like hanging. It was a feeling, man.
It was.
I think it came from that.
It was, and we all worked together. Sam and I, we played like brothers or whatever. He was like a buddy of his. Anyway, but we all knew that really solidified our friendship, and we wanted to do stuff like that. We wanted to do this just crazy, visceral, gut wrenching, funny, physical, whether it be theater or film, something we didn't know at that time. In 2012, we didn't know what the hell that was going to be. So we did, and the Cold Water was something that Sam came about. I guess in 2015, I remember reading that because he had done other stuff. He did this. There's so much cool. We have 2 hours, right? So we have a lot to say.
Let's fill it up. 3 and 4 as long as you
fill it up. I'm
still have steam. We can go as long as you guys want.
Man.
Yeah,
well, what was very cool was what started happening. I mean, to go off a little bit of a tangent. Was in company when we met each other. That was also when after we did Happy in the Poorhouse, I also started writing stuff for us, because I was like, holy shit, we found this voice that we have together. We have to get it on the page, and we have to start to be like, we start to make our own lane for what our acting wants to be and what our stories want to tell, what the stories that we want to tell. So the first thing that I wrote on a bus to New Jersey was this scene of 2 hitmen, guy and girl hitman team. And it was like this, it was like they were waiting to chop up a body after the hit had been done, and they were having like this domestic thing back and forth. Like they're like lovers, but they like are waiting to chop up a body. And I thought it was like so funny where they're waiting to do some gnarly shit, and they're like having this like domestic fight about love, You
don't call me anymore.
You don't
take me out.
And it was like not that good. But it wasn't very good at all. But it started to like formulate like what kind of humor we want to go into, how we want to like what kind of dialogue we want to ride on. And then getting to Cold Water, that was like the first like finished thing of like, okay, we have like a tone, we have a story to tell, we have something that we can like actually put our hands on and say, okay, this is at the time Greaseball Productions, or this is eventually Tookany Creek Films of like, what are you guys saying? What are you guys talking about? And that was very cool to start there. And then again, expounding upon that, came this idea of Peter, where it was just like a bigger idea of all of those themes that we wanted to talk about and how do we formulate them together. And the fact is that it's the three of us acting together. And so it was super easy to, once we had these characters, to like piece them together and to create this big world, you know, of,
in I guess in spring of 2018, when we started really figuring out what these characters were, we would do these little filmed these rehearsals. These, I think we actually thought we were going to make a short film out of this iPhone.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we can just shoot it on this.
We're like, we got the phone, we got a room, we have a overhead light. We're good. This is good. Oscar.
It was, but we did rough. These little, it was rough. Yeah, it was really rough. But it was, but what they were sketches of Peter. So we had the character Peter. We were trying to figure out what the hell he was going to be or who he was going to be. And then, you know, like in the video, it says we found out that he's a teacher, and there's this Sabrina Karbanowitz, and then there's this detective Reno that's after him, and that was like a great vehicle for Giorgio, and then we started doing these little shitty rehearsals, which in the Kickstarter you'll see like a little bit, you know, where Peter's more of like a wild card, and Reno's like really like seething, you know, and
different dynamic that we
we landed on.
Is that from the proof of concept, or this is different?
That was before the proof of concept.
Okay.
So we did the proof of concept. We shot that at the end of September in 2018. And I had my buddy, you know, our Strange Dream Films that came on board with us, Mike Marsdale, Joe Duva, and Sam Losciavo. I've known Mike Marsdale since I was in Philly, and he went to Drexel, and I didn't go to college, but I used to hang out. My buddies went to Drexel, and we used to all hang out at this apartment in 43rd. That's how I met Mike, and I met Joe when I had moved to New York in 2014, and we had done some like 24-hour film festival stuff. And, you know, I brought Joe on this other shoot I did for some guy named Tanguy Conk, who's this French filmmaker who's awesome. And I was like, you know, let me hit these dudes up and see if they'd be interested in Peter, because I love Mike. He's hilarious. He's right up, you know, our alley, same humor. And they were super down. And they're in the, you know, they do a lot of industrial and commercial work, and they want to, you know, this is what they want to do. You know, every filmmaker wants to make a real film. And they were super down, and we really got along, you know, it just all worked out.
So it sounds like that was key to, you know, finding the partner, the production partner, I guess you would call them, was key to actually bringing the project to fruition.
Absolutely.
I want to go back a little bit to like still the early stages of the development of the character. So the story of Giorgio chasing some kid around or whatever.
Well, like the thing with like, I'm sorry, Kev, you said
no,
that's okay. Was that actually something you guys wrote down, or you guys are just riffing with ideas one night?
I think that was like a physical improv. I remember. I think I had a shotgun at first, and I was like,
sawed off.
Peter. Where are you, little buddy?
Little buddy.
I mean, because like I would get out of work late, and I'm like a night guy. I'm up. I don't I don't sleep very well, so like I'm up at night, and like it's kind of just generally creepy to begin with. So like kind of leaning into that sort of like, this guy's up alone. He's got a kid in his basement, not necessarily hurting him or anything, but like it was just like this ridiculous, you know, a ridiculous scenario. Yeah, you know, humor out of like an extreme circumstance. So like it came out of that, and like funny enough, speaking of the stuff we made. After we did that, do you remember like the iPhone concept? We took the crime stories. We shot a little we started to like, we kind of got into like another area of like violence, you know, like the darker side as opposed to the humor, and like that sort of darkness is in Peter himself. You know, it's like kind of the bad, you know, like they say, was it in True Detective? You know, the world needs bad men to keep other bad men from the gate.
Right.
So Peter is a little bit of that, and Reno kind of ended up being a detective, but he's kind of a borderline criminal as well in many ways. It's kind of like that dichotomy of man, where like you're good and bad at the same time, and that worked well with the kind of going against like the kind of schlubbiness of Peter, where he's kind of like he drinks, he's shitty, you know. Reno is kind of like maybe he was in the military, maybe not, you know, and like, you know, he just kind of like reflects values of a different time per se, if you will. And that's
Reno definitely came from that guy who's up alone with a sawed-off shotgun and a child in his basement.
Absolutely. Like sharpening knives. Sharpening knives, listening to Chopin. That is the funniest thing.
It was just like the funniest, like, this
Yeah.
guy's a nut bar, but he's all right.
But I don't think we never wrote anything, like any of our bits and stuff that we would do. It's all just we're just riffing with each other. And
Yeah.
anybody, we're just riffing with each other, little improvs, whatever. Just like, one person says something like the town of Chittenwa came about because we were,
Right.
I think that that might have been 2016, and we were, because everything's central in this location of Chittenwa, and we were doing some bit outside with a reporter, and there was it was another school shooting, and we were doing something. This reporter's like, "Hi, this is so and so live from Chittenwa High School, where there's how many dead?" And they say 13 and counting, and they say, "Holy shit!" It's like, "Yeah, we're live, so let's go." But this town of Chittenwa came from this little
From that bit.
and that's just little things that we remember. So the stuff with Peter, and like also like the chasing of Peter, like that's incorporated in the script, that he's on the run from these guys. And we remember, I don't think the only thing that we ever really wrote down was of Peter would be the proof of concept, which is where over the summer we started developing from the spring, and then thinking about it, and then September we picked a date, okay, September whatever it was, 25th, we're going to shoot this thing. And then so we had a certain amount of time within a month to put together a short film. And the location and all that, and and then we just ran with it.
Did it. And you, like, over the course of your collaboration, you mentioned that you guys arrived at the fact that you wanted to work together. Some of the projects you had worked on when you were in school and in the production company, right after school, that those fed into like what you could potentially do together and the things that maybe resonated with all three of you together. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, like, what the negotiation, Sam had mentioned that you guys wanted to touch on the same themes, and like, just like a whole bunch of synergy that maybe you didn't have to explicitly describe or talk about it. It was just natural. But was there any actual negotiation about like, well, we should make this a little darker. We should make this a little bit more funny. We should emphasize the subjects in the shots like this. What's the actual creative negotiation that's going on? Or was it all really, you guys are just so on the same wavelength, you don't need to discuss it?
No, we discussed, there's a lot we discuss.
Yeah.
The way that we really go about this is, here's a great example. So in the story, some of the earlier iterations of Peter, the feature length screenplay, we had Lenny was like a drug dealer or something, and he was selling heroin or to whoever. Strange guys were a cartel, whatever it was. It didn't work, and Giorgio kept saying sex trafficking ring. It's a human trafficking ring.
Trafficking.
It's dark, and like it works. And I was kind of like, I don't know. I was like, that's so intense, and like I don't know. But it was something that he just kept pushing for, and that was what elevates Peter. Is this idea of, and this is the ultimate darkness, is human trafficking, or sex trafficking ring, or, but yeah, so we would discuss a lot of that. And,
I think also like, sorry, you go, Sam.
No, you go, Jay.
I was just saying there's that incubation period,
Right.
Like, I think that like I saw something on the news that I was like, holy shit, that's real.
Right.
Damn. Inspired by the darkness of real life, because we're all sick fucks, you know what I mean? And like, this is a real shit, wasn't there a story in Cleveland that some guy was keeping girls in his house, in his basement for years? And like, you hear
insane.
crazy shit like all the time. Right. So, nothing's crazier than life. And like, that we talked about that, let it incubate. And then over time, it's like, we just got to let the kind of stew marinate between us. But there's a total, in my opinion, transparency between us with our ideas and our thoughts. And I think that's the only way you can get anywhere is not hold back and just be real and make mistakes. And that comfort level, I think, is what sets us apart. Is that there are no wrongs between us, man. Like it's all for the good,
Right. Writing off of that, like, I mean, I think two-parter of that is like all of our influences are very much the same. And so we have a very, because we're all best friends, we have a similar, the way we speak is like, we have the same language with one another. Right. But but also there, like what G just said, there are no wrong answers and stuff. Like, I mean, we all also work from this place of, I wrote this thing, what do you guys think? Or like, let's throw some more shit against the wall. Let's break it down. Like, we don't have there. Luckily, there's no like fucking bullshit or egos involved. So we just like all work on how do we make these pieces better and better and better and more interesting and more intricate and more real and more fun for us to do. Because at the heart of hearts, we all want to just act together and work together.
And I think also like that initial like comedy is going to come out of it. And we're not comedians. Like we don't say, hey, we're comedians. We're going to do something this is a comedy. But Peter is funny because, it's just funny.
Yeah. Because what we find, I mean, that's the thing. What we find is funny is like the extremities of man, or women, I mean, man in the broad sense.
So anybody listening there that just got offended, that's what we're talking
sorry.
Yeah.
I meant human.
I don't even know that.
Like here's the example. We were just talking about There'll Be Blood is an incredible fucking picture, right? Obviously. But it's hilarious.
It's so funny.
Right.
Comedy everywhere.
Yeah, it's a comedy. I'm like, oh, you mean that comedy? There'll Be Blood by Paul Thomas Anderson song Daniel Day-Lewis? Yeah.
It's I mean, obviously,
in front of
but
me
also
now.
the most intense, scary, disgusting, masculine. Like,
it's like so.
But
crazy.
because he's so intense and just grounded in reality, and the things he says, because he's so vicious and insane and drunk, that's what's funny.
And invested and it's incredible.
It's that line, right? And one of the notes I took was my feeling watching your proof of concept is with Peter, you guys and the production surrounding the character of Peter, you guys walk a line between parody and homage to, I guess, what you guys grew up watching and what you guys, probably want to see out in films, but you don't really see them anymore. And like, when I was watching the proof of concept, it was like, this is funny, but it's uncomfortable. Peter feels, I know Peter. I've seen Peter. He's real. This guy is real. He's like, it was brilliant to start off with him in a cafe or a diner, kind of in his own head, because it gives you an idea of, through the rest of the proof of concept, it gives you an idea of where his head's at as things around him are happening. Even though you're no longer in his head, you understand where he's coming from. And he's coming from, I think what Giorgio touched on, at least my reading of it, is that kind of like a little seedier, darker, weird, not totally socially integrated. And Peter's very real. I know Peter. I like to think I'm not Peter. But then I'm like, am I Peter?
Am I Peter?
Again, to Giorgio's point, I think we are Peter in some degree. But good job. And how do you walk that line? Because I was like guessing. I was trying to figure out what is their intent here, and like what choices are what areas are choices they made to walk that line, and what of the production is just naturally allowed them to walk that line. What decisions did you make, and was it like really fine tuning to the script to be able to walk that line of parody versus homage, to keep a viewer like me guessing, like, are they intending to be funny here, or just intending to be awkward, or intending to be intense? Because it's all of those things at once. So how much fine tuning was there to be able to walk that fine line? And
now we're talking about the proof of concept. So
right.
So I think just one thing, just before we even start with, like, the proof of concept is in no way, it is the beginnings of Peter. So like the script and the screenplay that we have in the movie we shot is not the proof of concept.
Gotcha.
It's changed.
It's changed, but there's still definitely much, with that element that you're mentioning about how the comedy and the awkwardness, like that's all there. I think also to start, the character of Peter, I think, was the most underdeveloped character in the proof of concept, and not that his relatability at all, but the wild card aspect. So like the stuff that you're, when he's like, Johnny Fontaine, and he's like, that thing, or like, and he's crazy and like, fuck you, and like, throwing the hammer around and stuff like that. It's a little. He's more in the movie now. He's definitely more afraid and much more of a wuss in the movie than he would be here, but he still stands up for himself. But having said that, we're talking about the proof of concept. So that fine line of still that fun and the parody and like what is
and I imagine those are some tones that at least to some degrey carried over.
Yeah, definitely,
sure.
definitely,
for sure. Yeah,
definitely. So I mean, Sam, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's you did just mention that it feels like everything is everything. Like that's like. I think not everything is everything, but it feels like awful.
It is what it is.
Look, I don't know what to fucking tell you. You like the thing or not? All right.
This is this. It is what it is. Everything's
everything's everything.
What are we even talking about?
I don't know. But like, yeah, I'm very much interested in that line between like the homage and sort of cliche mixed with the parody, and then like kind of smashing those worlds together and being like, what the hell are we watching? And then it just becomes sort of real life, I really love, and I think I speak for these guys as well, like character driven stories, obviously, like,
Taxi Driver. I mean, I was thinking about Coen Brothers as well. Like these big life characters that drive the story forward, which kind of goes without saying when it comes to filmmaking. But like, having these very defined Renos and these very defined, eventually what Peter became, and even Murphy, like these bigger than life kind of characters coming into these, like, that's where kind of the comedy hits, where like in the proof of concept, when Reno just like is constantly spitting on the ground because he just can't deal with it anymore. He's like, fuck this guy, and like, that's funny because of the fact that it's so rough and he treats this guy like shit. And it's just so extreme that he's like, somebody even mentioned us, like, one of my
somebody mentioned
brother-in-law said, I showed him the thing. He's like, wow, this is really, I have a note though. I'm like, yeah, what is it? He's like, too much spitting. I was like, fuck
too
this
much
guy.
spitting.
I'm like, fuck this guy.
It's a bit, and that's the other. That's the other thing too. Is that Oh shit. No, you're right.
Too much spitting. What?
The other thing too is that we all of us also just love bits to the point where if we can and it works for the story, we're just gonna throw a bit in there.
Yeah, like
just throw a joke.
Yeah,
in.
like the
Just
Johnny Fontaine thing that came out because like we were improvising and I said it and we all just lost
it laughing. It was so
like,
funny.
In this moment, like Peter starts to quote like fucking
the
Godfather. We're like,
what?
Okay, let's just ride on that. It's kind of funny,
pretty funny.
But like we obviously had to lose that.
Well, of course we lost it. Yeah.
That, but I think
the thing that I was just gonna say. But see, it's a thing. We're doing a bit. But the thing that did last from the proof of concept over was the those extremes of each character, and then those characters, those worlds kind of colliding, and then what we see as the audience is then that journey of those insane people kind of mashing up together.
Yeah, and I think that talking about like walking the line, we never had a discussion about what was too far, or I think everything just came from our instincts. It's like, this is what we want to see. This is funny, and it's only funny. It's just funny. What's funny is funny. There's things that are funny, things that aren't funny. And whatever's funny, I forget who said it. Maybe it was Judd Apatow, but said, if you find something funny and 10 other people find something funny, then 100 people will find that funny. And if 100 people think what you're doing is funny, then 1,000 people, and so on and so forth. And I think there was never any discussion about what line. I think it was just from our roots, like, just do it real. Like, this is real. Right. Everything is real. Like with the Big Lebowski, with the Coen brothers, like it's a funny movie. When it came out, it tanked, but it's probably because like, I don't know, is this supposed to be funny? I don't really understand what's happening, because they didn't say, oh, a comedy by the Coen brothers, because they weren't really, known for doing comedies. Fargo is funny.
Fargo, right? It's funny.
Fucking
it's dark
funny.
though. Super dark.
I mean, it's super dark.
Yeah.
Of course.
William H. Macy hires somebody to kidnap his wife because he's broke.
Yeah,
and it all goes
end, he
wrong.
Like cries when they get him. He's like, oh, "It's really ugly, man. This is dark moments."
But it's funny though. But
I
think that we all arrived at comedy is real life.
Yes.
And you just have to play it as real as possible. And some things work and some things don't work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also allowing that uncomfortability, like if things are awkward and things get weird, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird and awkward.
Things get weird.
It. Yeah.
Let
Things
us
get
remind
awkward,
you
right?
of what it's like.
Yeah.
Need I remind you of how awkward life can be?
You're going to the movies to enter some fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Go back to reality.
Yeah. Shit is weird. Life is awkward. Life sucks.
Yeah.
Life is strange.
Yeah.
And people have weird ways of dealing with life.
Yeah.
And so that's like a part of what we explore too, you know?
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And I think people have difficulty when they cannot pigeonhole or place a movie in a certain category. Like, oh, this is a comedy. Oh, this is a rom-com. Oh, this is an action movie. Oh, this is a homage to old 80s action movies.
Well, that's funny that you said that because that was originally the pitch. Like as you saw in the proof of concept, and now I guess we're getting into the actual feature film of this.
Yeah.
But one of our ideas, and even like, there's 3 movies that are made when you're making one movie. I forget who said this too. Forgive me, whoever said this. You're probably dead though.
Probably dead.
But there's 3 movies you make.
Genius.
You're a dead genius, and I'm taking whatever you're saying. I'm crediting someone.
Somebody said this at one point in time.
That there's 3 movies you make, and it's the movie you write, the movie you shoot, and the movie you edit, which is ultimately the movie that everybody sees. And I think with the first Peter was we were trying to kind of define what the genre was. Our pitch was, it's like an 80s action comedy, Lethal Weapon meets Caddyshack and Roadhouse, because we're kind of burning on those. And I think maybe that was stylistically like the actual look of the movie is what we were going for. But then as we are shooting the movie, and a perfect example is when we meet one of the girls who has just escaped the bad guys trafficking dungeon or wherever he's from. We'll talk more stuff, but she escapes and we meet her for the first time. She's talking to the lieutenant and she's battered and she's crying and she's afraid and she's shaking. And it's as we were filming, we're watching this thinking, oh shit, like this is
real.
It's very.
It's not like I escaped this place and his name is.
yeah. That's insane.
It's not a goof.
This is it's a moment that is like and our actors that we had were like
so
incredibly real
man.
and like fucking smashed the scene out of the park.
Yeah,
like it was amazing.
Yeah, so I think that fun, and that's kind of how we want to start. Like even if you hear the proof of concept, I threw some of that 80s running when they're doing the chase sequence. There's some of that, and I had done some other stuff with synths and everything that really embellished our vibe, whatever the hell that was going to be, the style. But it doesn't work. It does for Peter. I think our idea is like we like. You watch a Tarantino movie or Napoleon Dynamite is a great example.
I actually have Napoleon Dynamite written down as a kind of.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But that's a note or tone that I picked up on.
And that's one of my favorite movies ever because but there's also, but you don't know, like Uncle Rico, you only know that it takes place in the present day of 2004 because Uncle Rico says back in 82, but the way it looks, it could be 1982 where they are in Utah or Idaho or whatever the hell it is. There's, the computer is like that brick computer. Everything just like kind of sucks, and that's kind of like what we want for style instead of leaning so hard into, it's 1989 and we got John Cafferty's doing the music. It's going to be like, this could be the late 80s. Or mid to early 90s, mid 90s. No computers, people smoking doors, corduroy jackets, wool pants.
That's really what we wanted. We wanted like hair, oil, right? Cigarettes inside and payphones. Like that's we know that makes a time that is not the time that we're in right now.
Right.
Because I have a lot of problems with the time that we're in right now.
Yeah.
As I think
that
was a bit.
I also picked up on. I looked at the website and looked at some of the set design, And
Cool,
I grew
yeah.
up on the East Coast as well. And I was like, damn, I've been in that house before. I'm pretty sure there's
Yeah,
some
right.
houses that still look like that in terms of
Yeah.
the decor and stuff. So I know you guys had a bigger production with a lot of people assisting you, but did you have involvement in that level, you know, choosing what duvet cover to throw on the floor and make look like somebody
Oh,
poured beer
yeah.
all over it?
Sure.
All over it?
Sure.
To a T.
I mean, that came, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
everything.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean everything. It was all. What's great. I think my favorite thing about making a movie is the collaborative aspect of it. And Sam had a buddy, Michael Waxer's the art department, and he
Waxer.
is the man.
Yeah.
Rules.
He rules. He rules.
Yeah.
And he really, I mean, between the idea of what this vibe is supposed to look like. I mean,
Yeah.
and those are only the set photos up until November. We have a whole nother 30 gigs of photos somewhere, that we just got sent. But
Of what he was able to do. I mean, we had many conversations with him about what we're looking for, what we want, and he was able to bring shit to the table. And then all we would have to do is like tweak here and there. But he did, because that was, I mean, like the actual production of the movie, obviously, like it's indie filmmaking, but it's also like during COVID, but it's also, we all wore like 11 hats, man. Like we were all running around doing everything. But that comes with the collaboration element of it too. But anyway, yeah. So Waxer really brought those things to the table, and then we were able to just.
Well, he was also, that's what he did for a living. He
he's in
works
the
on
art
commercials.
department.
And he works on television, so he had relationships. We used State Supply for the props and everything, and just trashing the place up. Like that was Sam's parents' house.
Yeah.
And they let us use this place for a weekend, and then the 2 weekends, and then just trashed it up. With and Waxer really, it was really cool. Also, like even like the Miller High Life or whatever he was drinking, those cans, the beer cans, they were like retro style.
They were
Yeah, the old,
Yinglings.
the
Yinglings,
vintage,
yeah.
vintage Yinglings. That I haven't
Yeah.
seen. Yeah,
You haven't seen
awesome.
them since like '83,
Yeah.
and I think everything, especially there was the house and the interior of the hotel, and Waxer knew exactly what it should look like. And after, discussing, Sam and Waxer, Sam directing it and talking to Waxer, and then, us knowing what that world's supposed to look like, Waxer was able to create it for us, on our budget, which in our budget for this, I mean, was definitely, it's definitely less than your typical independent feature. But we were able, working on a tight budget, we were able to realize everything we wanted to accomplish within our budget.
Do you have any pointers on like how you go about achieving something that's a little bit maybe comes out better than the budget that you have? You know what I mean?
Sure. So I mean, one is you need to work with people that are, you have to realize your strengths and your weaknesses. We don't know art department. We don't know how to run a camera. We don't know how to do sound, really. We don't know any of this stuff. And our strange dream, they had the crew. They know the people. One thing was, we got together the actors and they were going to handle the crew. And everybody worked, our crew, sound, everybody, they worked for friend rate. So our sound guy, who was incredible, took a fraction of what he would normally cost. And he has about over $70,000 worth of equipment. And he's a professional sound guy. He does feature films, and he had weekends to dedicate, and he was incredible. And our AC as well, he was unbelievable. Like he all day, 12 hours a day, sitting there focusing, and it's
unreal,
nuts.
dude.
It's unreal. And but everybody is better than you. You have to work with the best people. Paul Newman was great with that. He was with Robert Redford or Young Stars, people will feel threatened, and he's like, I don't care. It's like, I'm Paul Newman. You know what I mean? They're like, aren't you worried Redford's getting all these close-ups? He's like, no, give him a close-up, man.
He looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks
but
great.
it's about and then also with the budget, we originally wanted to shoot this movie before. So we had started with this production in I guess the spring of 2019. We did a reading of it,
Right.
And which was great. And then we really started thinking about pre-production and what we wanted for this movie. I think we wanted like 250 grand for this movie. And we were making some moves and you know, a year goes by and then, you know, COVID happens. And we were just kind of, all right, fuck it. It's over. You know, there's nothing we could do. And this one guy who was a part of the project early on, as a, whatever. Anyway, he messaged us, I guess, in June, said, "Hey, what's going on with Peter? We should talk about that." And I'm like, "Well, it's COVID. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nothing we could do. We'll have to wait next year." And he said, "Okay." And the three of us are sitting around and we're like, "Well, you know, we could shoot this for nothing. We could go to the warehouse. Yeah, we could do this. We could, you know, just cut it. We could shoot it for $50,000." And that was one thing that Giorgio always said. He's like, "We could shoot Peter for $26,000.
Yeah.
We could shoot Peter for $8,000 and a sandwich. Listen to me. I read Robert Rodriguez's book. I got this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
I will say that that was a very inspiring book. Anyone who needs a little encouragement,
Rebel
read
Without
that.
a Crew.
Yeah.
Rebel Without a Crew. Yeah.
Very good.
But I mean, we didn't shoot this for $8,000. We shot this for about $110,000. And we still have, you know, we're still raising money for finishing funds. We'll probably do like another little Kickstarter. But I think if you're going to make a movie for a fraction or half of what a typical low budget independent feature will cost, you need to have people surrounding you that are professionals, one, and are better than you, and are willing to work, you know, willing to put in the time.
Do you have any pointers? I mean, it sounds like you guys are well connected. You have a long history working in various productions and probably have networked over the course of your careers. Is there a pointer you have for like networking to actually meet these people, to have the opportunity to create relationships with folks who might be able to help you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just go
It's
out.
like making friends,
I
right?
think it's
kind
like,
of a
well, it's
stupid
like,
question,
it's
but-
like,
No,
but
not
it's
at all.
like stay in touch,
Yeah,
you know,
stay in
keep
touch,
those,
yes.
keep those relationships. Ruben is very good, and same with Giorgio, about following up with people and keeping those relationships going.
It's
but
work.
also, but it's work.
Networking. It's work.
But it's
you
also
know?
like,
It is.
but it's also
exhausting.
like, you know, like when I was first, someone mentioned to me when we were like leaving school, or no, who said this? They were like, if you want to be an actor, you got to go act. So like when you get out of school, like go book
Phil,
work.
I think Phil Hoffman
yeah.
said something along the lines of say yes to everything, which
Say yes to everything.
I don't agree with, but
25 or 64.
Yeah.
But you know, like especially in the beginning when you're getting out of school, like go do student films, like people need act. So like that was a big networking thing where like there was like a directing the actor class
Columbia at NYU, the grad
student
students
film.
and so
Yeah.
and they would say come in and like these directors need to work with actors. And so like, I mean, I know I met a couple of those directors and I was able to do a couple of their short films for their thesis.
Yeah.
You know, like just being able to work and stay in contact with those people.
Yep.
But it's like, yeah, it is about the work. It's about doing things.
Yeah,
And then,
I think, yeah, absolutely.
and but also like to your point, Ruben, what you said about people who are better than you, who want to actually work. I think it ultimately comes down to all those people that we were working with, like believe in this project, love this project, and really want to make Peter the best fucking movie that it can be.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
I don't think we would have gotten the people we had if this movie sucked. Like if Peter fucking rules. The script is great, and I'll even some great affirmation we got was when we were going through casting, and we sent it to our Sabrina Karbonowitz, played by Erica Pappas, who's incredible, and she went to NYU and she's rep by Don Buchwald, and Don Buchwald is one of the biggest agents in the country. Don Buchwald himself represents Howard Stern, and the company has just a great reputation. Anyway, her agent, they read the script, and Sabrina, she's been on board since I think July or August of 2019. You know, I'd met her a couple times doing this Columbia stuff. I think we met her doing we did a screenwriting festival at Columbia, and I'd met her, and then this other director, Shira Lee, who I'd known from Labyrinth Theater Company, introduced us, and we just kept popping up. So, and she was young, and she looks young, she plays young, and she works a lot. And I just pitched her this thing. Peter was like, "Hey, you want to come in and hang out with me and Sam and just read this script?" And she loved the script. Anyway, move forward, and her, we're getting ready to lock her in and all this stuff. And she had been shooting something in Atlanta. She's shooting a project for Stars in Atlanta right now. And her agents read the script, and she called me. She's like, "Well, I have good news and I got bad news." And we were just beginning production. October, we wanted to shoot her stuff in October with Lenny and everything. And she said, "The bad news is I'm in Atlanta until Thanksgiving." And I was like, oh shit, okay, all right, well, but she's like, the good news is I'm back in December. I'm back in Thanksgiving until January. She's like, but the good news is my agents love this script, and they love it for me. And I was like, we're good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Great.
Because they get a bunch.
No, that's when
it's
you
a
go,
low-budget
like,
script.
of course.
They get a-
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
But like
cool.
just to speak to that is, if these people at Buckwald love this script, and then not just them, I mean, a ton of other people we've been sending it out to, they love the script, and it's just a matter of doing it. If this script sucked and we didn't have our shit together, and nobody would want to do this project.
Yeah.
So it's not, obviously it's about, have something good, but I think have something that you believe in, and that it can't just be the first thing that falls out of your ass. It's
Right.
got to be.
Yeah, Peter's
something-
been with you guys for what?
Years.
Yeah, for 3
A
years.
decade?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. Half a decade,
7 years or so.
Yeah.
And what was the process like? You're talking about having a quality script, and writing a script between 3 people isn't always easy. Obviously, you guys have a special relationship that makes it easier than maybe other situations. But like logistically, what is the process? Like, imagine you have a physical script. Do you work on it collaboratively, or you say you do this scene, I'll do this scene, then you come together, piece them together, and then send the draft around a few times? Like, what does that look like?
I mean, so the way we all like have like, talking about like these ideas, we're all riffing on stuff like that. And then one day Sam, we're working with Sam, we had the short film, and Sam's like, hey, I got like the first 10 pages of Peter.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
And it was very arousing. And then so we'll read that, and then we'll kind of act it out. We're talking about it like, oh, this cut this line here, this doesn't work here, this something here. And then Sam will go back, rewrite something. And then, we'll even have sessions where we have the script out and we're just ripping it apart, and running around the room, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, talking about this, that, and the other. Sex trafficking. I don't know if it's going to work,
I don't know. We don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, reading lines over and over and
Yeah.
talking it out.
But as to physically writing the script, Sam will literally just after we've dissected everything, Sam will go into his room and he will physically type the script
For
out.
3 days, no sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes away and then he comes
4 a.m.
back.
He goes
Yeah.
away.
So it's
And I'm
essentially
like,
you guys.
and then I'm like, here's the script.
Yeah.
And so essentially, like, it's in person, incubating, workshopping, riffing.
Oh yeah.
Then Sam has notes based on that
Yep.
that meeting together, whatever you guys are smoking, drinking,
Yep.
having fun, spitballing
Yeah.
ideas. He has all those spitballs, and then he throws some away, writes some into the script, comes back, and then you guys do the same thing over again
Yep.
and over
Pretty much.
again until it gets more and more refined.
Yeah.
And then
35
eventually
times.
exactly. Yeah. We were on, what was the finalized? What was it? 7
7.
drafts?
It
8
says
drafts?
it
Seven,
says
7 or
draft
8.
7. It says draft 7 shooting script.
I think we
But
had more 10 in there.
I
it's
think
got to
there
be
were
even,
about
yeah,
9 or
it's
10.
Yeah.
it's got to be more than that, because there's stuff that even if you change a sequence
Literally,
or you
yeah.
switch things around, that's a draft. That's a new draft.
That's a new draft. Yeah.
Anything can make it a new draft. So, but yeah, I think we settled on 7.
Yeah,
But,
7. I mean, that doesn't sound like a terrible amount of revisions to
No,
come up
and I
with
think-
something so refined.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as well that it also feels right. Like there's something, if you read something within the first 10 pages, even if I'm reading a book, within 20 pages, I know if I want to finish reading this book.
Right. And how about, I
think Tommy,
writing scripts for film, you have a limited amount of time, you have a lot of ideas, and there's a lot of organization, around putting all the ideas in a sequential order that makes sense and that builds in the appropriate way to a climax and allows the characters to develop in a well-paced way. Pacing in
Right.
movies is important.
Yep.
So getting a little bit more granular, what about the organization side of all of these ideas coming together? Do you guys use index cards with specific scenes and try to stack them in a specific way? Or did it really just happen, more organically through conversation? Or was there a little bit more technical
it's a little
approach
bit
as
of
well?
everything, I think.
It is a little bit of everything. And I think honestly, I think that, I mean, for other things that I've written, it all depends on what I need for that project, what I go to the toolbox for. Like I have this other project I'm working on. I have a bunch of index cards for things. And that's just because I needed to place characters down. But for Peter, for example, it was very much like a, write a little bit, talk about it, go back into the room, write a little bit, talk about it, go back in the room. And so when we would talk about it, we would edit it. It was like, we need to move this scene here. We need to do this here. It was like all very much like writer's room. We were just like, we would just come in and like make the notes and go. Whereas, like I said, other things call for other things. What is cool about Peter is that once we had sort of an ABC, like where we wanted to go, everything kind of did fall into place. That was what was very cool about it, because we had fleshed out characters, because we had fleshed out ideas, because we had fleshed out all these other things first, that it was like, okay, cool, let me just piece this together, and then move things accordingly, as it were.
As it were.
It is all the same to you.
Was there ever, and this is like kind of going back to initial conversation maybe I could have had with you guys, like, was there any other competing character or competing idea, or you guys like over the course of riffing, doing improv with Peter, like you guys knew that this was the one? Was there any competing idea that may have supplanted this as the feature film you guys make together?
No.
Yeah, this was it.
This
was
I think it
number
all
one.
fed into it. And, I think it all kind of like built into it. Like, we have other ideas kind of came off of us, but since it's kind of coming from the group of us three, there was a strength for each of us between Sam directing and acting, Ruben playing Peter, me playing Reno, and all of us producing it. It felt like, can we even handle this? Let's not compete with each other. There was never any, I never felt it. Maybe you guys hated my guts when you didn't tell me, but I never felt any.
No. It means it means like ideas, like any other films, like anything else that we had written that was maybe
nothing at all. Nothing at all. Yeah. Nothing came even close. Yeah. Okay. Nothing came even close to touching upon that. I just felt it was all like, no, Peter's the one. If anything, only competition would be like what great ideas came out of the Chittenwall world. And then we realized not every idea has to be in the one movie. And, now we might have a couple other scripts in our back pocket. You know what I mean? Some ideas that come out of it. So,
we definitely have a couple scripts in our back pocket.
A couple in our my back pocket.
We got some things. We got some things coming. Yeah.
He's not actually sitting on a chair. He's just
I am literally
it's a pile of scripts.
Stack of 60 scripts.
Which is so sick.
That's awesome. I feel like this is like such a unique situation, which is one of the reasons I was just super excited to talk to Ruben or somebody. When I first connected with you, I didn't know who I'd get in contact with. And when he proposed that everybody come in, I was like, cool, that's going to be a new experience. And it's going to be an awesome experience, because I get the sense from the Kickstarter and everything, what a collaborative process this was. And I love the fact that it's like you guys arrived at this universe together so many years ago, and you've just constantly been honing it and building it and honing it and building it, that you arrive at the point where you have a feature film that has a very well established tone. And I think it's super sick. And have you, over the course of your careers, seen projects come to fruition in similar ways with such like a synergistic, like, I love the fact that Giorgio, you also mentioned like, no idea is a bad idea. I don't have to worry about what I'm thinking or, what I'm going to throw out there. That's so important.
I think it speaks to also like, speaking about, a level of judgment amongst your friends and yourself that, like what's that Planet Fitness, no judgment zone, as corny as that is, like ridiculous. It is a no judgment zone, and we break each other's chops and balls all the time. And that's the point. There is no wrong, because, who are we? We're artists and we're figuring it out. Pablo Neruda didn't doubt himself. He just wrote, you know what I mean? And like, Picasso just painted. So we're just yell at each other till we find the right, it's like, Ruben's a musician, like when he plays, it's awesome, but you listen, it's like jazz, I think it's like what we have is like jazz. You pick up where the other guy lifts off, and it's way more interesting than a one-man show, in my opinion. Ensemble, like I look at Mean Streets as a huge influence from Peter, not in the sense of the content, but in the sense of like, I mean, everyone remembers something different from that movie, or you just kind of remember the movie as a whole. It gives you a feeling of the time. And like, to me, that was like really attractive, not only because we grew up with loving that, but there's something so gritty and visceral about that movie. I think that's like what we found between us is like a bit of a bond. And like, there is no wrong. Like, it's just like, what's appropriate. Like, what do we want to say on our first thing when we come out of here? So like, you know, it is that borderline of offending in that kind of old sense. And like, we are in a shifting time. So there's lots of discussions about that sort of stuff to go back to the collaboration. But I think it all comes from a good place and an artistic place and the wanting to say something positive. So that sort of lack of judgment between the guys it's everything, in my opinion. It's how you grow. It's how you can sustain a 7-year honing of a script, you know, like you said. So in my opinion, it is unique. I haven't worked with anyone who does stuff like this. I have had worked with partners before in short films, and, you know, the TV work I've booked is all kind of very cold. You show up at set, you do your job and you leave, and it's like whatever, you know, but with these guys, it's a real home, you know, it matters.
And nothing is really as gnarly as what we're doing.
No, I have.
You know, I mean,
sense.
I mean, I just think in a sense where I think there's a lot. I think people censor themselves. I think there's a lot of fear with saying the wrong thing, or I can't do this, and not even because of the times we're living in, but because of just as, you know, as an artist or as you grow up or whatever it is, like you're like, I can't do that, or I shouldn't do this, or, you know, I shouldn't go to that party. There's a lot of like all this shit, but I think because we're so open and available and unafraid, you know, we can put what we want down as long as it's good. You know, I mean, there's a ton of crazy things that we think about, you know, that we call the vault. We have the vault.
Not come out.
The stuff that's so dark or not, or just probably just not good, you know, that we think is maybe funny, and that just stays in there.
Stays in the vault.
You know, but
at least you guys have each other to share. What's in the vault, like,
right?
Let's go straight to the vault.
Yeah.
Cool.
If
Put it in the back. Never mind.
If something super dark comes out, like
vault the sketch.
Vault it.
Yeah. But
I think it's impossible to avoid, and I don't want to avoid, like, we look at a society now that's dealing with cancel culture and hypersensitivity. And for me, I react to the sensitivity by being afraid sometimes to say things certain ways for fear of misrepresentation of my intent or misunderstanding of my intent. But I think Giorgio touched on something, which is like, when you are sensitive to what somebody else is saying, you're sensitive, you're reacting to it, but then you're also passing judgment that you think this is the person's intent, or that this is where they're coming from, or this is what they're trying to say, and that's bad or good. So like sensitivity in a way, I think, is a form of passing judgment. And I never arrived at that idea before listening to what Giorgio just said, but I wonder if there was any negotiation navigating perceived reactions to, you know, you touch on sex trafficking and stuff like that in the film, things that are uncomfortable for people, things that people are going to be sensitive to. And amongst you guys, awesome that you have a really open relationship that you don't have to fear judgment, but do you have any concerns putting this out into the world and totally fearless in putting it out into the world? Or do you kind of prep for some negative reaction? I wonder, because as a producer of this podcast, as I create other things, I'm hyper conscious of the world we live in and potential misrepresentations of what I do, and I want to be kind of ahead of them myself. And I wonder what it's like for you guys.
I'm not afraid.
I don't.
But I don't think there's any fear, because you know what? We're not speaking for anybody that isn't ourselves. You know, we're not pretending to be something we're not, and we're, you know, like I say, if you know you're if you're a white guy, don't write stories for, you know, gay people of color or whatever, or you just don't, if it's not your story, don't write. I mean, it may be interesting to you. I shouldn't say, you know, don't do this, but if you're not, I think you write what you know, write what you want to do. If it's something that's a viable concept for you, then write that. I think that's more. Right. I don't think you're going to say any more than somebody that there's plenty of people that deserve a voice and are good enough writers to do it themselves. You know, and I think that they will find that people will find those people. You know, but I think part of this is, you know, it's not, we're not going so far into like a certain subject matter, whereas we assume to know everything about it. You know, it is also not based on anything real.
Right. This is storytelling.
This is fiction.
Art.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
This is, you know, these are fairy tales that we're creating. We created a world of Chittenwald.
Chittenwald doesn't exist.
Like the themes of these things, this blue collar type detective in like 89, like those are based in reality, and the insanity of Peter based in reality. But at the end of the day, we are telling this story that is a fictional journey.
Yes.
But the other thing too about all those things is like what you just said, you know, we're not being inorganic. Like the thing that I hate in art is bullshit. Like just be true to your own experience and be true to yourself. And that's very hard because, you know, we are in this particular type of culture that needs to, you know, whatever, we just mentioned everything that it is. But, you know, that was one of the biggest things in Peter, is that no matter what we do, no matter what we say, it's going to be something that is intriguing to us, that is real to us and our experience, which we touch on things in the movie that, you know, that are what we have gone through, you know, like as men in this world, you know, and it's not pandery, and it's not bullshit. I think it's 100% organic.
Yep.
And
yeah, it's an overused word, but I mean, speaking with you guys, I get the sense that the generation of the concepts, the story, as well as your execution of it is just authentic. And I mean, kudos to you just by watching the proof of concept. I haven't seen the full film yet, but kudos to you guys for executing in
you saw the teaser too. I sent you the teaser as well, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So kudos to you guys for doing it in the authentic way. And just to Sam's point, I got that impression. So you're achieving what you wanted to, but we do live in this culture. So I wanted to touch on that point.
Yeah.
But you know, the irony of that is that like people also still, you know, love The Office, or they're rewatching The Sopranos right now.
There's a line from a Beastie Boys song that's "Be true to yourself and you will never fall." And, that comes to my mind whenever I doubt myself about anything I do. If I'm true to myself, and I think that's what you guys are doing.
You know,
Giorgio, did you have a comment?
No, let's comment. I started watching Cobra Kai recently, which is like a ridiculous, hilarious, awesome show, and having a good time. They say some rough shit on that show,
right?
And they are mean to these kids, way gnarlier than Reno is to Murphy. So I'm like, we're, you know, no, but there's this, they use a certain, like, you're talking about guys who come from a different time, guys who come from 1984, hyper masculine, hyper aggressive, karate world. And now you're dealing with teenagers in this world, and they're butting heads, and they're tackling, and they're handling it. And people's feelings get hurt a little. Like, he said something, I was like, dude, did you just say that? But like, the script is so good that it lessons are learned. And in our movie, lessons are learned. It's our story. It's all good. You know, it just, you can still, you know, tell your story. And the way they do it on that show, I think, is a good example of like, these guys are this way, these guys are this way. It's just a show, you know.
And this is how they interact and maybe compromise, learn about each other.
Yeah, we're learning, you know, like you know, you can look for a lesson in anything and take what you want from any show you want, but you know, it's a tough thing to say. It's like you can have fun still. It's okay.
Yeah, you can still have fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's fun.
I love.
It's a fun movie, man. It's enjoyable. Like,
I love that you brought up Cobra Kai, because I think the writing for that is fantastic, and it like really.
Because at first I thought it was really shitty. I thought it was really shitty. I'm like, who greenlit this? This is nuts. And then I'm like, this is actually elevated. This is better than I thought.
Yeah,
I think Peter's elevated. I really do.
Yeah, I think so,
What
too.
waste my time? This is our movie. This is great. This is psyched on.
Yeah, I don't think
The phrase
I love
comes to
that.
mind
Awesome.
like when you're talking about the actress who you were working with, you know, asking for some refining of the script, like approaching it from, is this in good taste or poor taste?
Right.
And everybody's
Yeah.
taste differs, right? But
Right.
there's some point where you could see that like we're doing this for this purpose. It may not be comfortable for people, but it is meant, and it's in the script to achieve something specific.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's in good taste because you're trying to achieve something. If you're just saying it to say it, then maybe
Exactly.
it should
Yeah.
be refined. And I think that's an
Yeah.
awesome part of creativity and the collaboration is that you could find those lines and tastes and
I
adjust
think
to that.
Robert Evans said there shouldn't be reverence on the set for everybody. Not everybody should have reverence for each other. It makes for shitty movies. You know, it should be like, oh my God, you're so great. Everybody's so great. I just want to say how great everybody is here today. Fuck that. I mean, there's moments like where like, you know, where, you know, whatever, with something that goes on with whoever the fuck it is, there's got to be some arguments there, but you're all constructive, you know,
Yeah.
and that's the only way that you're going to make anything that's going to be, at first you can talk about how good ideas are, but you know, whatever the hell, but at the end of the day, like there's got to be some creative criticisms and constructive criticism throughout the project in order to have something I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And cool. Like Peter is so
Just cool.
fucking cool.
Yeah, it's just a cool fucking movie.
It's
man.
a cool movie.
And you
it's
guys
entertaining.
you guys hit your funding target. And I wanted to ask specifically about the Kickstarter a little bit, because unlike other Kickstarters, you just started off with, I think, $100 tier. So what was your like strategy for,
We did.
for the Kickstarter, promoting it, getting the funds, and, you know, not setting lower tiers, if you want to speak to that at all? And then I'll make the question a little bit longer and then just let you guys riff on it.
Sure.
I know that part of what you did was a public reading based on the Kickstarter promotion. You guys mentioned that. So I wanted to also ask, so this is like just a very long question.
It's okay.
Where you got the idea to do the public reading, how you generated interest in the public reading and developed that audience before you even decided to do the Kickstarter. So big question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Have at it.
Well, the reading, I mean, that happens in theater all the time.
Yep.
Yeah,
do readings all the
that's
time
just
at
the
the
way.
place.
Yeah.
But
And
I mean,
we
in
came from
terms
theater,
of getting,
and so-
did you have a pre-existing audience based on some of the improv and stuff you did, or how did you invite people to this?
Oh, I mean, I think, you know, really it was just really friends and family. And, but we had, I mean, Tookany Creek and formerly Greaseball Productions, we never really had like a following. Like maybe we always had like 200 followers on Instagram. We don't have a big social media presence. We're not very social media conscious in that way, where we're not thinking about like, how do we get more followers, or like strangers. It all comes from people that we've worked with throughout the industry, throughout our careers. And, you know, the reading had to happen because we wanted to hear Peter out loud, and we wanted people to hear Peter out loud. I think plays, you see readings of plays all the time. And I've seen it happen. There's this great guy, his name's Mark Burkowski, and he did a bunch of stuff with Labyrinth, and I saw a reading with Michael Shannon was in, and like I smoked a cigarette with Michael Shannon afterwards, and like he was cool as hell,
So
you know.
cool.
But it gives you an opportunity to hear a real live audience, and then see what is up with your script, you know, how they react. You know, you can really gauge what the strength of your script is from audience reaction. You know, we just wanted to perform, you know?
Yeah, we want to do it in front of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We just wanted to do it in front of people and getting the actors together. And we had, I think, 2 rehearsal days.
Yeah.
And then we did some promotional stuff for that reading in April of 2019. I mean, we had a couple commercials.
Our commercials. Wow.
Yep. We did some stuff, and we filmed like just around Greenpoint, and, you know, we did a Giorgio was like, you know, a Beetlejuice character, and that Beetlejuice commercial is like where I just kind of edited that. The film to look just like that Beetlejuice commercial, you know. I was like, I'll eat anything you want me to eat.
That's all the thing you want.
You want me to stop? Calm down. Yeah.
Calm down.
Come
So
to
we
the
just took that,
reading.
and then the other one we did for that was we based it off the Ghostbusters commercial, and just to get people it was something fun. This reading is going to be great. Don't forget to come here. And we were only expecting to have a couple 20 people or so, 30 people confirmed, and we fucking packed this place out. It was awesome. Friends brought friends, and friends brought strangers, and strangers brought strangers, and it was
packed, man.
It was
I was
packed.
like, this room is
Yeah,
full. We
it's
need more
great.
chairs.
Yeah, we needed more chairs and a bigger room.
Yeah.
But based off that reading really gave us the confidence to be like, Peter is gonna fuck so hard,
Super hard.
Yeah,
because we got a lot of we got a lot of laughs. We got a lot of like oohs, from the audience, like ooh, But we also, at the end of it, we also had people stick around and wanted, we had like a talk back, like a Q&A kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so we were able to get some feedback of like why people, just whoever was in the room, of what was confusing or what they really enjoyed. And so we were able to just kind of have like have a little Q&A on it, which was really helpful as well. But yes, there's something about having the dialogue happen in front of an audience. There's something about like things unfolding in front of people that like really gives you a gauge of like, oh shit, this scene really cooks. Or this scene really is shit and you need to work on it.
Know?
Did you make a lot of changes to the script after the reading?
I wouldn't say a lot, but definitely significant.
I would
changes,
say from January of January, we had the first reading of the feature film in November of 2018. So we shot the proof in September, and then we had the full script written by mid-November 2018, and that's when we did the first reading. And then we did another reading in January, and from there were major changes. And then from January, when we had invited Strange Dream to come listen to the script, there were major changes that happened, with different character arcs with Lenny and Lieutenant Mac and with Jasper Knox and all these characters, because other people would bring things up. Like one of the things that Sam Losciavo, who was our production coordinator and co-producer, she mentioned was Lenny just disappears. Like what happens with Lenny? Lenny
is Sabrina's
father.
Sabrina's dad.
Lenny Karbonowitz. And we gave him a great arc, that the ending to his character, and did him justice. So by the time we got to the reading, there were still refinements to be made, but it was ready to be listened to and seen in front of an audience. And then I think getting into the Kickstarter, we're ready to get this money. We're ready to get this money. We're ready to get this money to make this movie. And it was a small amount on Kickstarter, $7,500. I think we got like a little over that, like a little under $8,000 or something. And we didn't really do that. We had the Kickstarter. We were promoting it while we were shooting the movie. And so I think we gave it maybe it was like 50 days or something like that. They suggest to do like just a month so you can get your money. But I know when we were doing the Kickstarter, we would have conversations before that went up, from July, August. I think August, we really started pre-production, and, there was a couple sites like slated.com and angel.co of just trying to find angel investors and the Kickstarter, just like, what is this going to be? How do we want our Kickstarter to be? What's this video going to be? How do we get people to give us money? And we probably took about a month to really get the Kickstarter together. And it seems, it's such a simple Kickstarter, compared to some.
Yeah, but the video's compelling. I think it does justice to show what you guys want to achieve, touch on your relationship as creators, and like a little bit of your process and how far along you were in the process. I think it was like very well produced and conveyed to an audience watching why they should, if they're interested, help fund you guys. So I think you guys did a great job there.
Well, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, but we really just wanted to make it easy for someone to be like, cool. Like, just like what you said, like, this is compelling. I like what they're doing. I'm going to give them $100. And there were some people that gave us like $20 or $50 or something like that. But I think starting at 100, because we knew that the production was going to be, we were looking, I think we started we're going to shoot this movie for $75,000. And and then that doubled. But at the time, we're like, yeah, we could take $100. You know, we could take 100, 500 or something like that, something small, you know, raise like, you know, 1% of our movie or whatever the hell, 10% of our movie, that's fine. But we wanted people to know, like, we want actual money, you know, and maybe that's not the place. Kickstarter isn't the place. Like nobody, actually, we got one dude he was great. And we met him through Slated, and I developed this relationship with him just via email and Facebook. And he gave us like fucking $2,000.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah.
Cause he liked our Kickstarter, and then he checked out our IMDb stuff and other things, listened to my music, and was like, yo, I'm going to give you some money for this. This sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I sent him the script and everything. And, but yeah, I mean, the Kickstarter, getting that off the ground was, that was a weekend. That's a weekend's worth of money right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. I think we shot in, I think it was like 8 weeks or something, like 10 weekends or something like that.
And then going back to your guys' relationship together, do you see like strengths and weaknesses of each other that help balance out in the end? Would you like speak for yourself, I guess, and say what you think maybe you're strong at in the group, or speak for each other, however you want to do it? I'm curious how you guys just coalesce into this, I'll call you a creative powerhouse that you're putting together, project like this, which is, it's no small feat, you know? And I think anybody listening, it's slightly conveyed in your Kickstarter that this was workshopped and it's been a long process developing the character. But I think, you know, through this conversation, anybody listening could get the idea that this takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of just spitballing ideas and years of developing like this universe. You guys have a universe in your head for sure. Yeah. And yeah, over the course of that, like, I just want to understand a little bit, try to understand at least a little bit more deeply your relationship together as it pertains to creativity and what makes it work. Mm-hmm. And any ideas, like, you know, who wears what hats on any given day, who leads the show in one area, who leads the show in other areas?
Sure.
I mean, I think we all, you know, obviously work together. Ruben, I will give it to him, has a driving force to get this movie done unlike I've ever seen. His motivation and steps he's taken, you know, has been huge. And, you know, sometimes like me and Sam might be a little more neurotic. I don't know. Ruben's like, fuck it, we're doing it. And like, sometimes I'm like, you know, he's right. He's fucking right. He's fucking right. He did it again. Like, you know, he has a driving force that was also attracted to me as a friend. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an animal. He's an animal. Cool. Let's be friends. It's awesome. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember.
Same thing with Sam. You know what I mean? And like, you know, I might be calmer in some senses. Like, you know, like my day job is meteorology. I forecast the future. So like, I do my best. That's how I got through acting, is like the same sort of mentality of like, it's going to be okay. You know, like I always try to take a step back, you know, and that's helpful in some ways, you know what I mean? But then it could be a little hurtful in some ways. And then Sam might be like a little neurotic one day, and then some days he's gnarly, and it all kind of like, we don't have to talk about it. It all just kind of happens. Yeah. It all just kind of works together, you know? And I know I come short in some areas, and those guys are there to pick me up. But I think it's a whole lot of trust. You know, just trust between friends and like, you know, actually giving a shit about each other. And like, I'm not afraid to get into a fight with Ruben or Sam because I have his heart and my heart are in line. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Like, we're, you know, enemies for a day, friends for life, you know, sort of thing. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Sam directed the shit out of this movie, and you know, I think
I would have never been able to do that. I can't do that.
No,
you know
there's just certain things. There's certain things like I am such a narcissist, you know, that I couldn't direct a movie because, you know, when it comes, like I was talking to Sam, I was talking to Giorgio, like Giorgio doesn't ask me to put him on tape for anything anymore because I'm like, just do this. This is how you do it. Just do it. And Sam is just great with actors because Sam can talk to them. He you know, he asks questions. He's there. He's listening, and he can really navigate, you know, with the acting and then dealing with Joe and staying on schedule. Whereas I come from more of like a producing background where I want to, I love bringing people together, but you also have to know when to back the fuck off. And I think you have to allow, like right now, Sam is making selects we have weekly producing meetings. So it's us three with the three from Strange Dream. And we were talking about, all right, we're finished this film. We got to make the selects now. And I think it was Mike Mars. I was like, well, all six of us can't just like sit around and look at these fucking things. Like, no, that's the director's job.
Yeah.
He shot the movie. Go
I'll take care of that.
Go look at 30 hours of footage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's also, that's going to align with what we're saying. So then after he's done that, we'll look at it and be like, oh, cool. This works. This doesn't work.
Right.
We like this, and then giving that to an editor. But, and then, Giorgio his dad had a fucking warehouse in Patterson, New Jersey.
Crime of opportunity. My dad
We
owns
did
a construction
13.
company.
We had 13 locations that we shot in that warehouse that we built, and we couldn't have done it without Giorgio. There have been zero fucking chance of that happening.
Not only having the space without Giorgio, but Giorgio also, like, we built out with two of his buddies. I mean, Giorgio, you could speak on this too.
Yeah.
Of the last location, we built out like a set
for a hotel.
We did set
suite.
building, and we used the space. The formula we found was like basically a vertically integrated business model where it's a studio platform. You have an open space, you shoot many things in a short space, and use the same material to turn it around. Like, I grew up doing some construction too, and my cousin's a fabricator, and he's a professional fabricator. So I'm like, okay, that's what we're going to do. Dave, it's the best price we're going to get. We got our prices, and it was actually cheaper because now what I'm learning is like, you pay a bar $400 a day. No, man, there's a lot that goes into it. The bar's got to open. These people are on your back. You're working on someone else's time. Yeah. When you build your own set and you have independence, you now have creative independence, and now you have license to really flex. And that's something I think we found through, another strength. Like, Sam, don't worry about the set. Just go in there and kick ass.
Yeah, there's certain things. There's certain things
I'll make the door work.
There's certain things that just aren't any of your business.
Yeah,
too.
That's none of your goddamn business.
And that's also, but that's also great because we don't all wear 11 hats. I mean, there's certain things that we do. Sam's not wearing. I'm not like, Sam, I need you to fucking call this dude in Singapore. I need you to call this guy in LA because we need to get 50 grand by Monday. Like, I'm not gonna have him do that. Right? You know what I mean? I'll fucking call these people.
Right. And but understanding that's not a strong suit of mine. Like, that's something that Ruben and Giorgio both have, is the ability to, Ruben, to
and even Ruben, even on another level. Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, cool. Give me the artistic shit. Give me the script. Let me edit this. Let me talk to the actors. Let me direct. Like, that's where my wheelhouse is. You know what I mean? Not that I'm a fucking moron. I can still talk to people.
But there's certain there's certain things like Giorgio and I, we like to haggle. We're hagglers.
You know
what I mean? Yeah. Like, we'll talk about just like deals that we got on a cup of coffee. This guy wanted $1. I said, I got 50 cents. You know what I mean?
I argue with the bodega guy. These are set prices. I have no business arguing for price.
I was like, the guy down the street sells a cup of coffee for 75 cents. What's the price? Little shit like that. So when we're going over like prices of certain things, with his cousin and all this stuff, we're able to knock stuff down and that's what we're able to work within our budget. So like, our budget ballooned a little bit, but that was only natural. Like, there was no way you could shoot a good feature film. There's no fucking way for less than 100 G's. Not going to happen. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen. I learned on this, my first feature film I produced, I learned it's just impossible. Now, if even like Rodriguez's shit, like Rodriguez, like that is like El Mariachi, the movie sucks. Okay.
Yeah, it's not great.
Like, production.
I've watched it.
It's not great.
Yeah, it's not.
But for what he did on $8,000, you know what I mean? It's cool.
It's pretty fucking rad.
And then we got a $300,000 finish from the studio.
And then a bump.
FYI.
Exactly. So like, there's just certain things like you need production value. When we're talking to Waxer originally, one thing I said to Sam was, me and Jordan were talking, was like $2,500. That's what he's got for production.
That's it.
It probably is like 4 times that. It probably costs maybe 10 grand, maybe more for to build hotels, hospitals, rent the props, buy wallpaper, carpeting, paint, all staples, all kinds of shit, renting a box truck, you know what I mean? Buying lunch, generators,
gasoline and generators.
Oh, crazy.
I'm seeing red ink in their books, guys.
Yeah. I mean, right off, but it's just, there's a lot that goes into it. And I think we understanding Sam Luciavo and Mike Marsdale, putting the schedule and just the production coordination. I can't fucking do that. Sam's talking like the OCIs or IOCs or whatever the hell they're called, for insurance, like insurance paperwork. And all that shit. It's not what I do. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's not a strong suit.
She knows how to do that stuff. Mike Marzell was breaking, like we had meetings about schedules and, I have ideas and Sam does and Giorgio does. But at the end of the day, Mike was the one who's like, cool, these are our schedule for the day, doing this. And
they were sending out call sheets. They were like organizing like what
Strange Dream
our
was all over that.
Actually
Fantastic.
does. Actually looks like.
The nuts and the bolts, and you can't make a movie without collaboration, and you can't make it without good collaborators. You need people that you trust, people that we've had so many people on this project that were shitty, that aren't on this project right now. They didn't come through with us, because something wasn't right. And, these people, Strange Dream Films, Mike, Sam, and Joe Duva, they were just, they are a mirror reflection of who we are, mirror images of us, and just like getting all that. Joe Duva is great. Cinematographer. He owns his own. He's got a Black Magic and he owns like 10 lenses. We didn't have to rent that shit. So you could write off 25 grand right there.
Right.
You don't gotta do that.
That's huge.
It was really huge.
Yeah. Also, there's another bit of advice for anybody that wants to listen is find people that own their equipment.
Yeah, make friends. Go to NYU in the basement and make friends with people who want to be cinematographers, and get them to film you.
Yeah, I mean, follow up and all that. But
no, that's good advice. I mean, just recognizing that filmmaking is a collaborative effort, and that there's people who have an interest in every segment of that collaboration. And if you could find people who are starting off like you, then you can collaborate with them and have them fill that void in that, whole network of people that put together and would make a finished project. So
this guy
that's really
said to
valuable
me,
advice.
Yeah, this producer, his name is George Heslin. He's amazing. We all, he was one of the producers, directors at our school, and he runs this company. He runs the First Irish Theater Festival, and he has this Origin Theater Company, and now he's about to head the Irish Rep. He's now the president, I think, of the Irish Rep or something really big. One thing he said to me was, it's called show business. Everybody wants to do the show. Nobody wants to do the business. And I always remember that because it's a business, it's really romantic, writing a script and acting with your buddies and shit. Yeah. But you know what? That costs money.
It sure does. Rubber needs to meet the road. Even for airplanes.
Real great. You want to write a script. It costs money. Okay.
I mean, Robert Rodriguez, even though that was an $8,000 movie, he put his body up to science to get that $8,000.
He had to get tested for a month to live with these nut bars. You read? I was like, what are you doing? I would have given you the $4,000, dude.
But it costs money.
Yeah.
Everything costs money. Everything is a business. And I think, realizing that and being able to get to raise, we were able to raise $110,000 for this movie, and it's all going to come from your family, friends. The Coen brothers shot Blood Simple for $750,000 in 1984, and they raised that money from 65 different donors. So there's a lot of people that are going to give you money. Some people are going to give you $100. Some family members are going to say, yeah, you're making a movie. Here's $100. I'm like, thanks. And then other people are going to give you 10.
Yeah.
And they're going to make up for it.
I really appreciate it. But
really appreciate it. Oh, no, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'm just going to break your balls about it.
I'll take it.
I mean, but that's also true. Like $100, like it adds up. Like one weekend,
God.
we were I'm like, scraping the bottom of the barrel for dough. And, I got $600 here and $500 there. And G got $300 there and, $150 here. And then somebody came in with $1,000. And sure enough, we got enough money for whatever the hell it was going to be, I mean, it's not nothing, but you also need to got to make the calls that you got to cold call people, and to get some money, you got to call vendors, you got to call, your family, friends I just spoke to one of my dad's best friends, this guy, Rick, who I haven't spoken to as an adult. I don't even think I've spoken to him as a child,
Interesting conversation about
that. Yeah. And we had a great,
Hey, Rick.
And he's retired. He was in the entertainment business for 20, 30 years. And we had a great conversation. You know, we talked for 20, 25 minutes, and he's like, send me all this stuff. I'd love to help you out, but let me just check it out first. And blah, 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 blah. But you just got to call people. You got to get money.
How do you open those conversations with Rick? Hey, Rick.
Hey, Rick, it's Ruben Barsky, Jeff's son. How you doing? He's like, oh my God, Ruben. How the hell?
And then you're like, I'm in.
Yeah. Or what I do. So, you know, there's some people that I from Slated, the website, slated.com, which is fine. It's, you know, everything is a crapshoot. You got to pay for everything. You know, it's a business. And, you know, I have people that I've messaged from Tookany Creek about Peter on Slated that maybe read the message or it's been delivered or whatever it is. But the whole week I've been stalking these people. You know, I find out where they work, like what businesses they own, and then I get their phone numbers. And these are all New York based people. So I have a list of people that I'm going to call on Monday. Then I'm going to cold call and say, hey, my name is Ruben Barsky. You know, I'm Tookany Creek Films. You make the life Peter Gottlieb. Thought you might be, hello. Or somebody, there's things that I can relate to somebody. So I saw somebody worked at ICM, the agency, and I know somebody that works at ICM. So it's like, hey, so-and-so, do you know this person? They also work at ICM. Oh, really? My cousin, this. And then it's like, great. Yeah. Oh, you're into, I see you, you know, support, you know, victims of human trafficking. Well, actually our movie's about this, that, and the other. There's little things, you know, that you can connect with people and they'll talk to you. And as long as you're not a dick, people give you, you know, 2 minutes. I had one producer. He was great. He's a Broadway producer. I called him early on and I said, hey, Phil, it's Ruben Barsky. How you doing? He's like, yeah, Ruben, what do you want? I was like, I want to pitch you this movie. He's like, all right, you got 2 minutes. He's like, and then I got something else I got to do. And I said, great, cool. Here you go. He's like, well, I don't know. I was like, maybe you'd be interested. He's like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. Send me the stuff. We'll see. And then he hung up the phone.
What a
But
psycho.
it was cool as hell.
That is
I was
cool.
like, I was just talking to a Tony Award winning Broadway producer. He says, I'll give you 2 minutes, you know?
I like that he had his schedule broken down, his calendar so granular. I have 2 minutes, and in 2 minutes, exactly.
Yeah. You got 2 minutes.
I have another call that's going to last exactly 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah.
And then I had
a 3-minute call.
That's it. Yeah.
So
Give that person
big
the time
day,
of
right?
Yeah. It's great, but you know, but I think it's about, you need money, you need good collaborators, you got to have something that you really believe in, that other people believe in too. And Paul Thomas Anderson, before he shot Magnolia, screened Network written by Patty Chayefsky, and Sidney Lumet directed it. And he screened it for everybody, his cast and crew. And after the movie was over, he says, okay, let's make a great film. And it's like, you got to have, you know, you got to lead your troops and your crew and your people to believing what they're doing is bigger than what they are. And it's also going to be fun. And, you know, you're making a film. It's going to last forever until somebody wipes out the human race and there's nothing and destroys everything, you know, nukes us, everything. But
before that,
until that happens,
get to shooting.
Yeah, and that was a big thing, like when we were like actually on set day to day, you know, because I had directed like our shorts that we've done and the proof of concept and stuff, because we were kind of like at the beginning, we were like, well, you kind of wrote it with a, you know, like, why don't you just direct it? You know what I mean? And so, but stepping into that, being like, okay, now we're on a feature set where things need to move, things need to happen, and I have to dictate
these
things.
aren't just your friends.
Collaborate. And so that's like a big
separate
thing
the friends and the show. And
it's like when we're on set and it's like, this is the schedule. It's like, this is your role and this is my role, and we need to make this happen. After that, we can smoke all the cigarettes in the world and talk shit about everybody.
Right.
But right now, we have to make this fucking thing happen because
we're losing light.
They're not going to get. If not, we don't have this movie.
Light.
Yeah, we're losing light.
Is money, people.
Yeah. And like Mike Barzell, like, you know,
lunch is in an hour. Let's
move.
Our
AD is like, he's like, well, we're already a half hour behind. I'm like, oh great, we're a fucking half hour behind. Let's go back to one. You know, we don't have time to do another take. I'm like, we have fucking time to do another take. Okay, we do. You know,
and also, you're always going to be behind. Every set is behind.
I'm dramatic and exaggerating.
But I've never been on a single set that wasn't. They start behind.
Yeah.
Day one of shooting is they're already behind.
But he's still drinking coffee.
45 minutes back.
Yeah.
You need to create a
That's just how it
challenge
is.
for yourself. You can't make it easy.
You're creating a moment in a vacuum, in a world, it's going to be more than one take. Jesus.
And that's all, but also that's another thing that Giorgio was talking about before is being able to work in your own environment because you don't want the pressures of, so another piece of advice I would have is find free locations that will let you shoot for as long as you want.
Yeah.
Because when we were shot at this bar, we only had 8 hours at this bar.
Nothing, man.
It sucks. You need at least 2 hours for setup and breaking down, minimum 2 hours.
Right.
And that's pushing it. That's tight. And then 6 hours just to shoot essentially 3 scenes.
Yeah. With an hour of lunch in there.
Yeah.
And then
with an hour lunch.
like a break and a reset when you're back from lunch.
Yeah.
And so you
got like 4 hours to shoot.
Now really
plus
have 4
reverse,
hours.
Turn it around.
Yeah.
Plus reverse. And then I have, and then we have like in the moment, sometimes like in this, this is, with Joe, with the DP, him and I would like kind of rewrite our shot list on the fly because we needed to be like, okay, well, how can we still achieve what we want by combining 2 shots that we don't necessarily need? You know what I mean? Or to save some time, not losing the integrity of the creativity of the film, but by like being so prepared that we can make those changes in the moment and achieve what we need to achieve in the time that we need to.
Yeah. Finding efficiencies.
Yeah. Finding efficiencies, but having George.
You're good. No, you're good. You don't need to go so close to the mic.
Oh.
If you get excited, don't do that.
Don't do this.
Having Giorgio's warehouse and being able to just like, build out the hotel there. And then we just have this creative range.
Our longest day at the warehouse was 16 hours with everybody there.
If we thought we were going to shoot on location at a hotel, it would have been a completely different experience, completely different conversation with the people who own the place.
When we were going to do that.
And we explored that. That was our first thing.
Yes.
We scattered, we drove, we went to hotels, we went to look, and it was not, what we wanted to do was not cool to do at a place of someone else's business. Because like Ruben said, it's a business. I'm making enough. Yeah. And what they would charge us to do was completely unaffordable.
That motherless fuck. He wanted 15 G's a day. Yeah, I was talking. We go to this place. I'm not going to name it. I'm not going to name the spot. But we went up to this place and we met this guy's brother. And he shows us around. He does this and we loved it. He did the whole song and dance, and we loved the place. We're like, oh, this is great. It was a motel, so it was exteriors, but it was empty. And he's like,
it's during COVID. There's not like people hanging out.
Yeah, it was really a perfect location, really.
Yeah, and then so I ended up calling the guy to negotiate what we were gonna do, and I said, we really love your place. What do you think? And he's like, well, a movie, I'd say $15,000 a day. And we had at this time, we had to shoot for at least 5 days there, so 75 grand, actually, no, maybe more, it was 7 days, so it was like 100. It was insane. I said, even if I had $1 million, I wouldn't give you 7 days at 15 grand a day.
Yeah, that's awful deal.
10% of your budget goes to one location. But you got to be realistic about that. So even if we did, a day or something like that, if I talked him down or whatever the hell it would be, and we're shooting at a location that we paid for, you're still on their clock. Even if you say, look, we need at least 12 hours, you can't control, well, we got somebody's going to drive up here and somebody's, their toilet blew out and, water's all over, whatever the hell it is. In our own location, we're able to control the environment. We can control the lights, the time we spent there. It also just fucking rules. We don't
keep it as long as you want. Yeah. No limitations, right?
No, nothing. I mean, aside from just like the props that you rent, like, okay, we know we have this for the weekend, or for the week, and then you get overages. But yeah, I mean, that's one lesson is being able to own your location or having a free locations as well. Because look, anybody will do something for free if you're cool with them and they'll let you do it. Sure, take it. Even like we use a Friendlies in right near Patterson in North Jersey, and they gave it to us at a really generous price for the day. Really generous price. And there were some customers in there, but it doesn't matter. We can do stuff we have plenty of takes don't interrupt. And
right.
But also great. Finding that guy, speaking of that came from cold calls, conversations, having the courage to, even to go back. Well, this, wonderful gentleman, Mark Fowler, rest in peace, passed away earlier this year, who helped us find this first location for Friendlies.
It was his,
It was his place, and he gave it to us for a great deal in the morning. He was super accommodating, had no problems with it. I called another gentleman who will remain nameless. Nothing but trouble. $1,000, $750 a minute past 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Bruh, take a hike.
Yeah.
You know, but like those are just, you know, you got to know what's good for your business. And
also
crazy.
having to speak to that, you know, when you say you're shooting a movie, people automatically think you got millions of dollars.
So like you're loaded. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we went up to go see this one location for the hotel, you know, they thought we were with this production because we sounded real professional and all this shit like that. But just you know, be aware of people's expectations of you, and also make sure that you say, hey, look, you know, this is our budget for the film. Would you be willing to let us check it? Because it's a waste of fucking time. It's like, great.
True.
Now we showed up at this location and this dude wants $100,000 for a week's worth of our fucking time at this location. Is that really worth it for you to go check it out, get your hopes up or something? And then for them to be like, nah, you're actually broke. You know, it's not, we don't want that.
That's a good idea, man. Yeah.
All of the business insight is really interesting. I shot a movie like 10 years ago on like $2,000 and just like a dream. And I dealt with a lot of similar situations. And I think it's really valuable advice because, you know, I look at time is money, but time is also creativity, right? Like you don't want to spend your time doing the business side of it when you don't have to. So if you could clear the air and make sure you're on the same page as the guy with the hotel before you go in there, so you don't waste your day checking out this, getting your hopes up, checking out this place, and then him coming back to you at the ridiculous rate. Like if you could avoid that, you could spend more time on what's really important, which is creativity. I think, Sam, I'm curious to hear about like directing and specifically your history and your experience in different forms of performance, dancing, acting, stage acting, filmmaking, and the shorts that you filmed. Based on our conversation, I'm getting the impression that those were the only directing experiences you really had coming into directing a feature-length film, which is quite a feat. So like, what was your evolution as a director from like when you were dancing through today?
Well, yeah. So basically, when I was younger and I was dancing, it was, I eventually, through my dance career, kind of made my way into choreographing, which was sort of like the first sort of taste of control. No, the first sort of taste of that creative element of being able to direct, you know? And I was working with this guy named Pete Carter, who's a Michael Jackson impersonator. And we were doing this like Halloween show. And I was choreographing for him for a couple of years, from 2013 to about 15. We did one of our shows out in LA. And, but that was like, not only like in that experience, not only was it like being able to choreograph actual numbers of the actual dance, but also like telling of the story. Right. And that's what intrigued me to dance as a young person, was because I was able to, through a medium, tell a story. And then that translated into musical theater when I was like in high school and like, you know, and community, community theater and shit like that. That was what was intriguing to me until I actually like got to when I was making my way to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, was like, oh, it's actually acting and storytelling. And that's what I really want to pursue. And so from there, and then like in the third year, meeting these guys and starting to write and everything, it just kind of all started to chip away until I found myself directing this. So like I said, with choreographing, that was really the first taste of not only getting, you know, numbers down, but also like talking to my dancers about like, what does this moment mean? Or what is this song actually? What are you trying to portray as this performer now, you know? And then getting to writing stuff and then getting to Cold Water, for example, you know, it was almost the same thing of like, instead of dance, it was lines and my dancers were actors, you know? And then even in, you know, when we did the proof of concept, so that was like a little bit of a taste of like directing. Right. And then when we got to the proof of concept, and then we had got Strange Dream involved, and we got Joe and Mike and Sam, and that thunder kind of struck together, like Joe and I started to get, all 6 of us have a similar mindset, but when we're actually working with like on set, when I have Joe, we have this like language back and forth of what exactly we're looking for. And he like you just said before, Ruben, like that they're an extension of us. They're a mirror to us, except instead of coming from performance and acting, they're coming from like the technical side of it.
And that's very important for a director and a cinematographer to be on the same wavelength, because if they're not, it's fucked.
Yeah, big time.
And it like, happens all the time that people aren't on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
and it's a problem.
Yeah,
right.
And like,
and it's not. I mean, it's not easy to be on the same wavelength of other people. That's why in our lives we only have a limited number of quote unquote good friends and best friends, right? Because being on that wavelength is not something that necessarily comes naturally. And I would just, as before you continue, I would reiterate that you guys went through other production partners, so this wasn't the first one. It, like you said, thunder lightning struck and you guys were able to find a partner that really suited your needs, your style of work, and you were able to find a partner in that capacity that you were on the same wavelength with, but that it wasn't it's not necessarily easy to find that, and you might have to go through the process of meeting multiple people, multiple groups to find the one that fits. So I think that's important to stress.
Yeah, and even if somebody like has, we're fortunate enough that Joe has his own camera, like we said, he's got his own stuff, and that's huge. But also, like, we love Joe. You know what I mean?
Also,
like you got to also getting along with them.
Dude.
Like, before, when you're meeting people, like, instead of like saying, talking about, well, this is what we want to do our ideas, are they in sync? Just go hang out with them. Do you like hanging out with this person? You're going to be on set with them for fucking 14 hours a day for, 45 days, or you're going to be working with them even more for longer, for 6 months or whatever the fuck that is. Do you like them? If you don't like them and you're just using them for their camera, I guarantee you could find somebody you like working with and that has their own camera, whatever it is. You have to make certain sacrifices. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's what it is, like, and that's like what you just said. Like, I could hang out with Joe all fucking day, because he's funny as hell and he gets what we want to do. Same thing with Mike and same thing with Sam. But that was like the biggest Joey Gabagool. That was the biggest. When we moved into the feature, I knew I had to I had to go to like, a crash course of film school. I had to start to understand what lenses meant, what different type of camera movements there were, what like some of the verbiage of like being able to talk to a gaffer and everything like that. Like, I had to learn that real quick before I jumped in, and like, I didn't become an expert in it. Like, I know things now having done it. But that was something that I was very green in, because then I can have an actual conversation that's more efficient with Joe and say, this is what I want on this. Like, how can we establish this, how can we execute this, instead of just being like, Joe, I want to have this thing happen. It's like, no. I can have like a verbiage and have a conversation with him.
Right. The more specific industry
vocabulary.
The vocabulary
is important when doing anything, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So what did you do to build that vocabulary and build that understanding and become a little bit less green so that you could be jump into this film a little bit more seasoned?
I did a shitload of research on the internet. I just looked up a bunch of cameras.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. I looked up. I mean, I like every frame of picture, every frame of painting.
Every picture,
every frame of painting, like things like that on YouTube that talk about filmmaking. But
what the fuck is it?
Other than that, this keeps falling down. Other than that, it's giving me anxiety.
Yeah,
other than that,
move it up a little bit closer.
Oh, that's good. That's good for me.
Hold for tech.
Damn it.
God damn it. Thank you very much. That's great. Other than that, what I also did too, I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys, but I went to the Black Magic like website and just learned all about the camera that he has and just like researched it for hours and hours and looked up and like if I would find a scene in a movie, when we were making the shot list, a lot of the stuff was like references to other films that we love and be like, oh, I want this to be like Hunger. I want this to be like Taxi Driver Moment, or I want this, and so able to research those as well and be like, what lens did they use? What camera were they using? And things like that just enabled me to just to learn more about it. Also, like, it kicks ass, and why the hell would I not learn about these things. You know
Orson
what I mean?
Welles learned everything he needed to know about directing and camera work in a weekend.
A weekend.
His cinematographer said, Orson said, I don't know anything about lenses or anything. He's like, everything that I'm going to show you, you can learn over a weekend.
And that's pretty much how it was here. Yeah.
You know,
Right,
and also
it's
just doing it.
And also doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Just jump in. You know?
I mean, that's what also
Learn
drives
by
me.
doing.
Yeah, that's also like drives me crazy about, you know, look, I think, you know, any trade school, I mean, filmmaking is a trade. There's guys, our Todd was our lighting guy, went to film school to be a director. He does some stuff too, but his job is he does lighting because he's really fucking good at it. You know,
Exactly.
Acting, you know, you think about it like a trade, like a plumber or something like that. A great, you know, you need to learn everything about what you're doing, because if you want somebody to hire you or buy your product, you need to know what it is you're talking about. And, you know, it drives me crazy with, you know, the film school stuff. Sometimes you can get so in your head, or people can go to school, they can be professional, you know, students, you know, it's people we know, like they finish our school at the academy and they decided to get a master's, go to another one. It's like, just go out and do it.
Just fail.
No
It's
school.
fine. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. How else are you going to learn?
Yeah, exactly. Just go out and do it, because you know, if you're not really passionate about whatever it is you're doing, then you won't get a job and that career. You just won't. Because if you don't want to go to auditions, or you don't want to, you know, whatever it is, you don't want to be a PA, then you're probably just not going to be that. And that's fine. That's fine. But you have to show up, and you got to want to do the work.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to implement the things you learned in school in order to do that shit. You know, forget about being a fucking professional student.
Technique
All the shit they teach
goes
you in
out
film
the window
school.
if you're not applying it to something.
Right.
Yeah, and like that's what I mean. Like film school is good to a degree. You know, you learn about cameras and all this shit, but you could watch cool movies and write papers about it. But it's done, and now you got to go do the fucking job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Learn the technique and throw it out the window. And
I mean, acting and auditioning is
same
no
way.
different, you know? Yeah, it's the same thing. You find your groove. You know, I started off auditioning for like, you know, basically mostly Italian gangsters, which is obviously my strong suit as far as film and TV goes. But there's no reason why I couldn't play an FBI agent. There's no reason why I couldn't play this. But like, you know, they see you in a certain way. So you can do two things. You can get mad about it and say, fuck you, and not do it. Or you can lean into it and get on the inside and learn and decide that if people see you a certain way, how can I book this job? What do I got to do? They think I'm this way. All right. Look how good of a fucking actor I am. I'm going to lean so far into it. This is going to be my thing. And then when I get established, I'm going to make my movie, and then my career is going to, like, you got to have a plan. You got to like listen to the industry too, you know, in a way, and you got to listen to each other, you know, you got to like kind of feel it out. Otherwise, like Ruben said, like, you know, I want to, you know, you want to go be a director, you want to be an actor, but I want to just do Shakespeare. Well, then you're not going to make a fucking dime, and you got to know that, and you better get a job doing something else to make, like, there's realities, you know, you can be a lifetime student living in a comfortable net and never make a dent in the art world. Yeah. All you had to do is just say, you know, fuck it, just try.
Just try it. Yeah.
And there is no failing. You try, like, dude, hey, I was 25. I made this movie. It sucked. And then I went to baking. I married my wife, and I'm happy. Cool. Whatever.
I admire people.
You know, like,
I admire people that I hate gurus, but I admire people that that at least that tried and failed to a degree. You know, I have people that really put their balls and their soul into something, and it just didn't happen. You know, I really admire that. You know, not even in a it's just, there's something about it. Boots, don't, my cat Boots.
Hey, Boots.
Just don't come over here.
Don't come over here.
Come on, buddy. Come on. We're talking over here.
Boots is a guest too.
He wants to hang out.
He uses his own headset.
Yeah. But not even like a patronizing way, like, oh man, I really admire. No, it's amazing, because 1% of actors really are like super successful, and then you can make a living off this. You know, you can make a living doing this. It's like any other job. You know, you just have to show up and just do it.
Yeah, there's something admirable about showing up and doing the work, right?
Yeah.
Like,
if you want to work,
it wasn't necessarily the best thing in the world, but you put your work, you worked, you did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah. And
like
there's a
what
lot of people,
Giorgio
I
said
think.
too.
Mhm.
What Giorgio said too is like, I think people are so against the system, like rage against the machine, that they don't realize that there's ways that they could take advantage of it.
That's something I learned.
Yeah.
You know, I
Get
learned
into
that.
the
I was
system,
like,
use,
all right, I'll
understand
fight
the
them from the
system
inside,
before you
yeah.
try to destroy it. you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah,
a great point
because-
because the systems exist for a reason. They work for a lot of people. Otherwise they wouldn't perpetuate and continue. And
Yeah.
you want to do something similar, maybe not exactly within the system, but learn the system so that you could take advantage of it.
There's like a certain.
That's
there's like
how
a
I
certain
see like
formula.
Wall Street and stuff, right?
That
Like
is right.
advanced
Go
shit.
goes
Yeah.
Trojan horse. Get in the door and just
Yeah.
then fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, there's like a little formula, you know. It's like watching people that do little comedic parts, or they have little parts here. Phil Hoffman was one of these guys. He was in everything. It's like, oh, and then you would see him, you're like, I like this guy, and then
Yeah,
he does something
he's an
else, and
actor.
you're like, yo, this is Phil Hoffman. This is really, and then he wins an Oscar. You're like, cool.
Cool.
I like this guy. You know, you want to be. It's good to get those little co-stars or guest stars or little one-liners here and there, because when your time does come, you want people to know who you are. There's nothing more. I don't hate anything more than like when Hollywood or whatever, they throw like, this is the star. Once you're like, there was that dude who he was in Terminator Genesis. His name is like Jai Courtney.
Terrible.
He sucks.
Terrible actor.
And I hope he hears this, because
Yeah.
you suck, Jai.
No judgment zone, but you
no,
suck.
no
Yeah,
judgment. I heard he's in a
but like-
motorcycle, so that's cool, but he's not great. Like
No,
that,
but
you know?
but he was somebody, maybe it just happened for him too fast, but they just like thrust him upon the public. Like, this is the guy. Like, no, this ain't the guy.
Right. Like the people trying to make decisions for us.
Yeah.
Hey, you should like this dude.
yeah,
right,
he's
yeah.
tall, handsome,
you.
muscular. This is what you should look like. All right, I don't.
He's
care,
vanilla.
you know. Yeah, it's not into it.
Yeah, he's vanilla. Fuck him. But
We're the Al Pacinos. You know what I'm saying?
well, that's also another thing as well. Is, you know, I think we live in a very interesting time where the studio system is back. You know, with the Marvel movies and the Disney movies and big contracts, and I think we're ready for a new wave in filmmaking, because it's been at least 30 years since the early, since Tarantino and Rodriguez and Soderbergh and all these people came about. It blew up at Sundance, and there needs to be another way. There needs to be another way. I mean, you figure it's about every 30 years. In the 1940s, there was the studio system at its height. And then the 1970s was the new Hollywood. And then it wasn't until the 1990s where they had this new independent filmmaking that was going on. And I think that's ripe to happen, especially with these, Amazon and Netflix and Hulu. They're buying up theaters. They're going to open up, you feel like, these second act movie theaters are going to come off, where they're going to have independent movies, and movie theaters are going to open up again. And people want to go to the movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
The movies are not dead. They're not like, everyone's like,
fucking
oh,
love the
movie theaters
movies.
are dead. No, people,
Yeah.
we like being around. People are people. They like to be around other people.
And watch art in front of you
That's
with
the
other
quote
people.
of the podcast. People
Yeah,
are
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
People are people.
People are people.
Did you hear what I said?
People are people.
People are people. Yes.
They want.
100%.
They like going to concerts. Yeah, you want to
Literally
see
something
live
that
events.
I would say and be like, I think it's pretty profound, but also like, was I studying? I love it.
But it's yeah. I mean, they want to be around. There's nothing like seeing a movie or a show with strangers.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
know,
I mean,
it-
speak to that a little bit more, because I think it is really interesting, this state of like media even before the pandemic, and especially after. How are things going to evolve, and specifically, where do you see your film falling into this? How do you think it might be distributed? Whatever you're comfortable sharing. Obviously,
Sure.
you might have some strategies and tricks up your sleeve that you're not able to or willing to share yet, but what's a best case scenario? What's a pivot if that doesn't work out? What's a fallback plan, a secondary strategy?
Sure.
And like, as you guys build your production company, where do you see the film industry going? So, I mean, Ruben, basically just continue on with what you were discussing, and also interject into there
Sure.
your film.
So, I mean, I think The Life of Peter Gottlieb now is somewhat of a throwback. It's a great story. It's funny. It's got great characters. They have everything about Peter fucking rules. Like from the name Peter Gottlieb to Sabrina Carbonowitz to Detective Murphy and Reno to Lieutenant Harvey Mack, like the names Chittenwa, it all makes sense. I mean, these are future Halloween costumes. You know what I mean? Like it's a little
Cult
like
movie,
cult movie or whatever that is. And I think it's
Reno could have an action figure.
Reno
exactly.
action
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No,
Working fist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the spitting action pose.
Yeah.
Can I throw
Use
something-
your own
First
spit.
of all,
Can I
that
throw
is
something
a
in real quick?
genius idea, Kevin. I might take that is fantastic.
What are you gonna say?
No, I just before we continue on with that, I also love how like I don't like how like pretty and perfect things are. Like I like how real like Charles Durning is one of my favorite.
Oh my God,
actors,
yeah.
So
you know?
good.
And he's just like a real dude who like yells a lot and he's all just
No, soft drink only, Sonny. Soft drink only.
Yeah.
No beer, no beer,
It's
no
like,
beer.
and it's just like so real. And I think that we captured a lot of that in Peter because it's like I love seeing like these real people who are balding, who have hair, who are like fucking smoking cigarettes. It's like real life blue collar things that isn't so fucking perfect in a box.
Yeah,
you
it's like
know?
where are these? Like these are like it's like the central casting or street casting. It's like bringing back the people, the real. Like you see these people, these are the real people. You know? Like we want to bring back. Like I think something in film would. I think people are too pretty, and I think like movies like Network and stuff, or All the President's Men, where you're in the room with this like these old curmudgeon like men, women, whoever it is, like they just look like real people. I think Peter is a glimpse at that. I mean, even the choice of Sabrina's wardrobe, we don't put her in like tight things, like make her like sexualize this chick, like,
or not even that, but
not
just
at
like,
all.
It's like she's not like super stylish and like so like polished. It's like, no, these are real fucking people who it's a real person going to community college who's got a fucking junkie dad.
Right.
They're not
this
trying
is
to
her
be
story.
cool.
Okay?
They're not showing off.
Yeah,
no,
just
it's real.
It's
Yeah,
not
being
really
like
cool.
Peter Gottlieb is like down in the dumps, shitty, schlubby guy,
Right.
who's going through a thing that we're watching,
Yeah.
and we're watching him grow and change. And so the how he's going to look in his costume and things like that are going to reflect, his wardrobe's going to reflect that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I really think
tonality of the whole film itself.
I mean, I think this movie is going to do better than we think it's going to be, but I don't think that it's going to be this $100 million. Like, oh my God, that's the one that changed everything. I think what Peter is meant for us is it is our ticket. It is our foot in the door. It's our gateway to where we want to be. It's for people. We made Peter so we could be like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And then it contextualizes who we are. So when future casting directors or production houses or money men or money women want to see us, there's like, oh, I like their brand. I hate brand, but like this is what they do.
Of it, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, tone, and you described maybe we're overdue for a new wave in independent filmmaking.
Yeah.
Like
Feels
there's
ready.
new technologies for distribution. There's new
Yeah, and
technologies
yes.
for cheaper cameras. That accessibility to the tools you need to make a film are
Yeah,
more widely
absolutely.
accessible. iPhone 12. I mean, you guys were joking about making a film with a phone, but
Now you really can.
in the
you
foreseeable
kinda
future,
can.
you
Yeah.
can more so and more so every day.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I wonder how you see, let's say Peter ends up being somewhere in this concept of new filmmakers. You guys are coming out, you're striking tone of nostalgia, but parody, homage, but pushing some narrative elements into the future. Describe what a new wave in filmmaking might look like in 2021 to like 2030, 2025, something like that.
I mean, I think now there's a lot. I think over the past 5 years or so, maybe like 2012, maybe 7 or 8 years, there's been like this kind of documentary quality to just cinematography, just like two films where it looks really crisp and it looks like real life. And I think there was this kid who made this movie. What the hell was it called? He like, what was it? It took place in Louisiana, and this guy was a pastor and he was drinking, and it was like about an hour and a half long. And this kid was like, everyone's like, oh, this is the new kid. This is the guy. And I watched this fucking movie on Netflix and it looked beautiful, but it was lacking the story. And for what should have felt like it was an hour and a half, it felt like a 5-hour movie I was watching. It was too fucking slow. So I think movies now, independent movies now, they need to incorporate, they need to be, I think, they need to look great, but I think they need to go back to what you want to tell, stuff that we're doing, which is, it's whatever you feel. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with, there's, what is that movie? Malcolm and, that's coming out on Netflix with
was Zendaya?
What's it called? Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Malcolm and I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah. So I think it's people stories. People want to see stories about people.
I'm very excited.
And that's how it was.
By the way, yeah.
I heard it does.
She's awesome,
Denzel
Zendaya,
Washington's
man.
son. Yeah. And what's his name? Washington. So I think it's stories about people are coming out. And that's like, I was like, oh, well, of course, everything's about people. It's like, no, it's not. The shit that we see, Marvel,
Malcolm
DC
and Marie,
movies,
that is the name of it.
Okay.
Malcolm and Marie. Those aren't movies about people.
Right.
There's no real stakes in Marvel movies.
Yeah,
None.
and it's
they're gonna win.
You just wait for the music to ascend, and then
even the music, and that's another thing. Even the music is basic. It's all some bullshit. Hans
Formulaic, right?
Yeah,
Like
formulaic.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to like I'm a Japanese cinephile. Like I really like Japanese film. And one of the reasons I do is I think more so than action, they rely on characters and relationships to drive the story forward. Yeah. And that's something I remember from the beginning of this podcast that Sam mentioned was focusing on the characters to drive the plot and the narrative as opposed to action and events. And is that kind of what you're getting at, Ruben? You think that there's going to be a little bit more emphasis on human interactions, relationships, as opposed to explosions?
Yes, but I think the explosiveness within human relationships, I mean, that occur in everyday life. There's nothing. I'm not crazy about mumblecore slice of life shit. Like, this is by no means, Peter's not a slice of life. It is dramatic. It is fun. It is dark, it is funny, but it is no way a slice of life. I don't want to see 24 hours in somebody's life and watch them sitting eating a sandwich for no fucking reason. I don't want to see that.
I would challenge or ask the question, what if you're taking a slice of life, a 24-hour period of somebody's life that's particularly interesting.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
right. Yeah. I think you have to, because people now are used to these big,
because like slice
Marvel
of life could
films.
just be like, oh, Joe went to the store.
Right.
Exactly.
What you fucking do. But
yeah, exactly.
If it's,
well, that's what you get, like that Clerks
thing. That day he went to the store.
Clerks.
Shit went down. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yes, but that's what you get to that thing with Clerks, the Kevin Smith stuff, and the other nights where nothing actually happens. We're just hanging out here. Some of that stuff is cool, but at the same time, like, what is really happening? You know what I mean? Like, why are you telling this story? You know, I think we need, because of like the Marvel and the DC, all that shit, people expect to see something big, but also they want to see themselves in those characters. They're not Captain America. You're not any of these fucking people. You can't even pretend to be. Mm-hmm. So cool it. They want to see
cool it.
Yeah.
Like with Peter, is like people are gonna see themselves in Peter. You just said before, I know Peter Gottlieb. Peter Gottlieb. People are gonna relate to Reno. People are gonna relate to Murphy. Sabrina especially. Like, people know, very much. Feeling these real life things that we're exploring in this real human interaction. And so maybe that's what it is. I mean, I know talk about like Pulp Fiction was something that was completely made up, right? Obviously, like a story. This is a fancied story. Even Reservoir Dogs is a better example of that, actually.
Totally. That was his Sundance debut.
That was his thing. That was his way in,
Not to necessarily just say we're comparing ourselves to Tarantino, but that's just an example of like, you know, these real life people that, I mean, obviously granted you have Harvey Keitel in there and Michael Madsen and Steve Buscemi, and these guys are kick-ass actors.
We don't have any stars. We don't have any like real stars.
Yeah, but as a reference point, no, it makes sense. I mean, you need a
this ensemble thing of like,
point of comparison.
Something you say, Ruben, all the time about that is that it's about a heist that we never actually see.
Yeah, the Reservoir Dogs.
Dogs.
Yeah, we never see that heist.
And yet I'm so invested all the time when I'm watching that movie.
You want to see those people because
I want to see. I want to see those guys interacting with one another and what happens between them.
I mean, a great example of it. Think of this turning of it was Derek C. and France Blue Valentine.
Oh my God!
Is it 2010, 2011 that came out? That's about people, you know, and that's about specific times, like when they first fell in love and when they're falling the fuck apart. You know, and I think people want to see Malcolm and what is it? Malcolm and Marie. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be just like that. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
People want to see stories about people that they can relate to, where it's heightened, where they can express their, especially now. It's like now you got your cell phones, you got Instagram, you got trolls. You can't really express yourself. You know, if people may feel like they can't really express themselves fully, you know, on their cell phone. You know, there's like the text language. Like, you don't understand what I'm saying. They want to get it out. They got to get it out.
Yeah.
You know? They got to get it the fuck out. So who knows?
Like that.
I know.
Riding off that, it's like getting back to the humanity.
Yeah.
Like getting back to human beings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Marvel.
Fuck Instagram. Fuck all that shit.
Yeah.
I think it sucks.
Yeah.
I think it's about two people. And that's something that we are pushing for. It's like the interactions between how are these two detectives relating with one another? How do they relate with Peter?
Right.
How does Sabrina and Peter, this insane like relationship, like how do they actually have some sort of relationship? How does that actually physically grow? You know? And then
it's not the relationship that they're projecting on Instagram that we went and got coffee together today.
What the fuck?
You know,
yeah,
like
they went. Yeah, exactly.
You're digging in.
What actually
the characters
happened?
you're creating are not projections of like some aspirational idea or idealized version. You guys are trying to get into reality, and
I think that's where it's going to go again. It's like
it's going
how it was in the new Hollywood. Is they were, you know, Robert Evans, his book, The Kid Stays in the Picture is great, where they were making movies like Paint Your Wagon, a musical with about the West that nobody gave a shit about, and he was like, you know, I'm making this movie called Love Story, where it's bringing it back to like who people stories and like where it's at, you know what I mean? Instead of like where it's at, it's like who we are, you know? And ultimately that's what people are interested in. You know, they want.
Yeah, I like that. I like the concept maybe too. I'm taking some liberties with what you said, Ruben, but like people are so caught up in Instagram and texting and they're worried about saying something and like feeling guilty about being themselves or feeling guilty about maybe relating to Rico or Peter, and watching the movie allows them to get past that guilt because they realize these characters do exist, not only in this movie, but in real life. And maybe I relate to them in some way. So
you're allowed a little bit of liberty because we're setting it maybe in a time we didn't have to be so PC, if you will, you know, like speaking of like a time like that's cool. And I think that was a successful part about what worked in the 90s is the rejection of the bullshit, you know, like all these little films, you know, like Parker Posey was huge in the 90s, not just Spherus and even the big movies like Wayne's World were incredibly independent minded. They did crazy shit. They did commercials in the middle of their movie and they had alternate endings. And the movie was a fucking hit. Squeal, what?
Yeah.
You know, but why did that work? Because it was huge. Because, well, first of all, it was successful because they had the audience. That's one thing I hope they had an audience. You know what I mean? Like that's like the thing that I think we kind of like, you don't think about what's our audience. Like it's every man, you know, we have 19 to 60 in this movie. You know, I think that like, there's something really cool about writing a story as humans living in the city that is, you know, such a variety of people. We have that in our film. We kind of captured that in our own way. And that's something that I think a lot of the movies in the 90s that we love, and even in The Sopranos, like, you know, that was 99 it started, you know, that technically was still in the 90s. it was just a little different, and but completely relatable. And I think I agree with Ruben for sure. I think and what a better time. Unfortunately, like with the volatility of the industry, there's a little crack opening for us that we can maybe get our foot in. And sometimes the doors might have been a little harder to get in a couple of years ago. But
I like that. I also like the point, and it was made by a previous guest too, Jeffrey Johnson, who has a comic book out that's in a more like a fantasy genre, but he's exploring some ideas of like Americanism and revolution, but he didn't think that he would be able to explore these ideas and concepts creatively if it was set in the present day. But given that he's looking at it through the lens of a fictional world, he has creative license to touch on things that, like you said, he might feel uncomfortable or might be criticized for looking at through the lens of contemporary society. So that's what creativity is all about, right? Is like exploring ideas. Yeah. And it's awesome that you guys are doing so. So how do you see distribution of this? We're talking about the industry changing. Mm-hmm. We're talking about so many dynamics. And like, I wonder all the time, like, how do you cut through the fluff? How do you cut through to get what you're making seen? So what is your approach to getting eyes on this film?
So we're lucky. We have a lot of, I would say within, we have 10 industry executives and from all over Hollywood and New York and Atlanta that really like us and are willing to help with sales and distribution. Best case scenario, obviously, is somebody buying this movie for, $10 million. They give us a 3-picture deal and we get a suite full of offices on the lot at, fucking MGM, Paramount, whatever the hell,
that would be great.
That would be great. Worst case scenario is somebody buys their movie for nothing because we're desperate and they bury it on Amazon for $8 and nobody ever sees it and it doesn't get any theatrical release. We are going to release this in theaters. It will be there. We will have a theatrical release, whether that's limited. I mean, wide theatrical release, over 1,000 theaters, and that would be crazy as hell. But that's unrealistic, for something I would like to hope. But we are.
Is that something you arrange ahead of time with one of the people who you've identified as a partner, or is it?
Well, that would come with distribution. So anybody in the distribution, what they would say is like, oh, well, we think this is going to be huge, so we're going to release it into 3,000 theaters across America, and But that's just, because none of us have, 400,000 followers on Instagram. We don't have a following. It's our first one. Ideally, we're going to get into some really nice festivals. We're going to do good enough for ourselves to make another movie.
Yeah.
Because the goal of this project, is for people to see it. We want people to see this movie in theaters, a limited release, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, whatever it is, small, limited release, and then make another one, and then it's going to go on a Netflix or something where people can see it, and make our money back on this one. But we want to be able to make enough of an impact to make another movie. That's it. It's all about making movies. You got to make another one.
Is there any subversive way that you can, because there's new systems forming in the ecosystem of film distribution, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, every other second person who wants to have their own streaming service. And then like Twitch is just like streaming whatever you want at any point in the day.
Right.
And I think things are so dynamic and so changing that we can't really anticipate 3 years down the road. But is there if you guys were doing this on a budget of $15,000, you didn't have connects to potentially get distribution to, get the movie in front of people who could make those decisions. How would you, hypothetical scenario, how would you get eyeballs on this? How would you cut through kind of all of the, maybe not having followers to?
You mean if you shot the movie for $15,000?
Yeah, if you shot it for $15,000, you didn't have the potential for distribution, people seeing it, but you had a finished product. How would you get eyeballs on it? I'm always curious
Well,
about that because, like, you know, we're talking about potential new wave of cinema. There may be people out there who have a very limited budget who are filming on their iPhones. I imagine that right now, based on the technology available, that there are probably like phenomenal films that just nobody has seen because it's hard to get eyeballs on things nowadays because everybody's so oversaturated with media. So, you know, just spitballing to think about creatively
There's
ideas.
Too much shit.
Too much shit to cut through.
And not shit, too much shit. Like there's too much bad shit. There's a lot of bad shit, but there's a lot of good, but there is a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things.
Right?
We have a lot of TV channels. We got a lot of apps to watch. I have all of them. I got Peacock. I got HBO Max. I have Netflix. I got Hulu. I got Amazon Prime. I got all this shit. And
then you got Netflix originals. Then you got Hulu originals. Then you got Amazon Prime
all
originals.
Their own studios.
And then there's still shows that are on fucking AMC and TCM and blah blah blah. Like so much work for actors, which is great.
Yep. But there's a lot of stuff. I think if someone's going to make, if they had a movie that was shot for 15 grand, hopefully if they have 50, they have a couple more bucks. I would say they have to do some grassroots advertising. So that would be, that would be on Facebook and on Instagram and even in your local newspaper, there's a pay to play, see if you know anybody that will just write up a little something about your film. Cause you got to think about the business, and then having money for festivals cost money. You got to Film Freeway or whatever the hell, Without a Box or whatever that festival is called, the online submission site, and submit your film to festivals, small festivals. Your $15,000 film, you can submit to Sundance and to TIFF and, to Cannes and, Berlin, but it's probably not going to get in there. And just be cool with that. So submit to little regional festivals that
locally
cost local $20, $10 to submit your film. And that would be the best way. I think, it's just so hard to get eyes on it.
I would even say, okay, so say we had $15,000 and we even looked into this, have a screening, rent a theater out, take an extra ask your mom for a couple $100 and see if you can rent a theater out, invite her and her friends, screen your movie, get eyes on it, post it on social media, run have Facebook a Live of you watching it. Like, my goodness, there's what you said, there's a million streaming services. Just, you got to have some courage to throw it out there. Like if I was like 16 and a filmmaker, man, there's nothing holding you back.
Right.
You have the fucking world at your fingertips, most literally. If anything, why don't you guys help us?
If anything, you
why don't
call
you
us at this number right here.
551 4
555. I think that's I think I don't really know. We tried putting like cold water and stuff, and we got maybe like 5 festivals and like one in Asia and Germany, and like didn't do shit, but the people that we showed it to were like, cool, great, make another one.
Make another one.
It's all about
startups. It was all our startup shit.
But you have to also finish something in order for people to watch it. Right. That's that Ira Glass quote, which I'll bastardize. That your work is never any good when you're just starting out, but it's your taste that makes you better. And until you finish a body of work or a volume of work, can you move on to something else that will be better? And then the next thing gets better. So finish your stuff. I'm just doing that now with like my music, like I bookend like it's part of my life. This is finished. I got another album. This one's finished. Another one's finished. Peter got music for that.
Sometimes I ask those questions and they seem kind of stupid coming out of my mouth, but I think the advice and the feedback you guys gave is really helpful to anybody listening that like,
good. Yeah,
it is not easy, but even on the promotional side, even building audience side, you will at some point have to view that as a business. You'll have to approach it like a business, right? Like,
maybe you're selling something,
marketing and selling something. Yeah. And like,
and also then hiring people, like, you need to hire a marketing and PR team.
Right.
And that's something that we're going to get into now. We're just starting to breach that is marketing, PR, advertising, that whole sphere, which I'm just learning about. That is going to be, it's incredibly detrimental to your film because if nobody sees your movie, did you even shoot it?
The tree falls in the woods.
You know, did it even happen?
Really?
You know, so getting people on board that also believe in you and be like, yeah, cool, I like this movie. Let's see. I know these people don't like it. It's good for this audience here. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know, you get people to see your movie. You get people that know more than you do on your project.
For sure.
Awesome.
So Walt Disney did.
That's like the next step then, is building the marketing, and where I guess, you know, we're kind of coming up on hours into this podcast. I just want to check with you guys.
It's 1:41 right now.
I could keep you on for like 2 more hours, but I want to be respectful of your time and energy.
Wow.
I mean, I could eat, you know.
I could eat.
Yeah. Reno's getting hungry.
Yeah, I could eat.
Cool.
Yeah. This has been really great.
This has been a blast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
What was the next? What was the next question?
I mean, I could literally just keep asking questions and have you guys talk for another 5 hours, but I don't want to.
Well, we could also be filler guests.
You.
You know, anytime you're like, anytime like, oh, I don't have any to talk to right now. I'll talk to these guys for half an hour.
These 3 guys, they got 3 hours. They'll fill it.
Talk about
it's
this.
funny.
Go.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of times I'll be like, I expect this guest to go, like, my girlfriend will be making dinner or something for us, and I'll be like, I'll probably be like an hour, and then I come out 3.5 hours later, and she's like,
dinner's cold.
It's 10 o'clock at night.
Candles have melted all the way down.
The romance is over.
Dinner's in the oven.
Blue Valentine.
Blue Valentine.
Yeah, right.
Story of my life.
Exactly.
Podcast.
Yeah.
But I love, I mean, speaking specifically about chatting with you guys and the podcast in general, it's always interesting, like starting the show, building up some familiarity, then getting into the weeds a little bit and getting a rhythm. It's like, I love meeting people for the first time and jumping into like a relatively nitty gritty conversation.
Well, you know what? That's something that we were talking about with, we had this guy, Ken, that's one of Sam's buddies. And he came on to play a day player part. And when I met Ken, I had never met him before, but when I met him, we met at a restaurant and he came in, we just started talking. It wasn't like, so where you're from and how old are you and what do you like to do? It was just like right into the shit of just having a conversation. Yeah. Those are the people that we are attracted to, that we like. Is you just like my mom, like if any of my girlfriends or friends or anything meet my mom, she just starts talking. She gets right into the middle of her life. There's no, and you just get in with it because there's no, if any relationship is worth having, you never want to start from, so, what's your favorite color? And it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
I hate it.
Yeah. Small talk. You start at medium talk and then large. And
then you get to the shit.
Yeah.
Okay. What's going on with you?
Yeah. I never open up with that shit. So when's your birthday? And
I don't know.
What do you like to eat?
I'm terrible.
What's your sign?
Yeah. What's your sign?
What's your sign?
Frankly, couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Sign.
Yeah.
What's your sign?
But yeah, I think that's what you got. It's just get right in the shit.
Yeah.
Well, instead of asking another question, let's do this. I'll let you guys, we'll wrap up. I'll kind of throw the ball back into your court. You can tell me, we could riff a little bit longer. You could explore any areas that you want, and then we could end the show. And I'll save other questions I might have, and I'll have you guys back on if you're receptive to it when you launch the film. Sweet. And like,
great,
hell yeah.
as you get further along in the process, because this is going to be
great.
awesome.
Yeah,
very cool.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Have we not talked about anything pertaining to Peter?
I mean, we covered quite a bit of bases when it comes to the film, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd say so myself.
I think we just talked about Peter, but in
that's
a
about
really intimate way.
All right, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
But I mean, I guess to lead us on a trajectory where we'll close with some style, what are the next steps for you? And then once it's produced, and like, how do you, I guess you don't know how people are going to see it because you don't know about distribution yet, but what are the next steps for you and moving forward, and where do you see this going, and where do you hope people will see it eventually? And how, I guess you're still looking for some funding too. If people are interested in supporting the film, how could they do that?
Yeah.
And
So
you might have another Kickstarter, like,
Yeah.
what are the motions going forward?
So we definitely are looking for finishing funds. We'd like to raise $50,000 between the time this interview posts and I'd say the July, which is not an impossible feat. I think I've already got people in for 12. I got about 12, 15 grand right now. But editing and post cost money. We'd like, 50 grand. That should do us pretty well. But I think next is just raising that money. They can email us. If someone gets in contact with you or something, you feel free to pass on our email address or follow us at Tookany Creek Films on Instagram, or The Life of Peter Gottlieb. That's on Instagram as well. And I'll make sure that our email is up there. If they're interested, and they can just email us and we could start a dialogue about, whether they have some money or whatever the hell it is. We will have another Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're just making the selects.
Yeah,
Santa's
now we're
making selects.
getting into
The immediate
editing.
thing right now is that.
Yeah.
So
making
picking the
selects.
specific shots that are going to go into the film, and then you
Yeah.
put them into editing and
Yeah.
slice
We put
them
it
so
together,
they
and
fit
we have our
together.
editor who's going to take those and then start to cut the actual picture together.
And that'll be in February. So we're thinking, so this is going to happen come February. We get into an editor's hands. They'll edit for about 8 weeks, maybe sooner. And then so April, we'll go to a post house. We have a couple places we're talking to, and we'll get that to a post house, and that should be a couple months. And then I'd like to have this film finished by August, the first week of August, have it wrapped, done, complete. And then we could start selling this thing and submitting it to festivals, and that's all possible. It takes about 6 months for post. So
Yeah,
that's
that
what
Make
we'll
it
do.
happen. Absolutely.
Awesome. That's a good
Yeah.
timeline.
Yeah. I'd like to have everything done within 6 months. Cause once we're done, we're just fucking done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to be done with it. Not because I want to rush it, but because there's so many films and friends of mine that work on film for 5 years, like fucking from production to like the end of the film. Just finish it.
Let's do it as soon as
Move
we can,
on.
man, and
Push.
make it and finish
Yeah.
and do the next one. To 76.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you're
like,
not
yeah,
gonna,
it's like
you're
you
gonna
put a little
not
bit
gonna have a
time.
body of work if you spend 10 years working on one film, right?
No.
I
And it's
frankly can't
exactly-
afford the time out of my schedule. So
No,
that's what
and
you
like
got.
it is going to be exhausting calling people and asking people for money and the same shit.
yeah,
It's like
same stuff.
I need money, and it's like, look, you need money. I'm not asking for rent. I'm asking you to give me money for my movie.
Yeah. Invest in my art.
Invest in the art, and if you want to make a couple bucks off of it too, we have contracts too. If you want to be an investor, it's a $6,000 buy-in. We'll give you some couple points. But yeah, you want to give them something, but you got to be, as Robert De Niro said, before I was Robert De Niro, I was a pain in the ass.
And now I'm Robert De Niro, and
Now Robert De
And
Niro
a pain in the
pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys.
But-
Well, any other closing comments, Sam or Giorgio?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, man,
on.
this has been
cool.
great. This was incredibly fun.
Our first podcast.
First
Our
podcast.
first podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's. We'll touch base, but like August, when you guys think you're wrapping up and going into the next phases and stages, and shit. This is a podcast. I could do as many or as few as I want. So
Yeah.
whenever you guys want to
Yeah.
jump on and have
Yeah.
a chat, something worthwhile discussing, I'm happy to have
Really
you.
cool, man.
Absolutely.
I
Really
appreciate
fucking rad, man.
I took up the time of 3 people today, so I appreciate
This is
all
great.
of you.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Awesome,
what
man.
you're doing. And I look forward to seeing the film. I'm even more excited to peek it than before we spoke. So I hope listeners feel the same way.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Thank you, dude.
Thanks, Kev. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Later, Kev.
Here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to go. Bow out, ow, ow. Any presidents of the United States of America, aka Pusa fans out there? Because that was on one of their many fine albums, and I was and am a huge fan. Anyway, that's my welcome to the debriefing. Welcome, my fellow randoms, to the debriefing. I, of course, am your host from the podcast that you just listened to, Kev Duffy. And yeah, I had an awesome time speaking with Ruben, Sam, and Giorgio. And I'm just going to jump into my key takeaway, which is Isn't it nice to have a team? These dudes get along so well, not just as friends, but as creative partners. It's probably the exception, not the rule. You know, I'll say, one, they are lucky for having each other. But two, I think also they work their butts off to achieve what they are, you know, have collectively decided is their goal. And they're very obviously transparent about creating together and really having a no judgment zone that they could just riff ideas and the cream rises to the top in that situation. You might have some bad ideas. You don't need to really worry about it. You just say what you say. You have an idea, say it. And if it's a good idea, it'll rise to the top and end up in the film. They've been grinding on this film for years. They've been grinding on this idea and this universe for years. It's obvious to me over the course of our conversation, and I look forward to having them on again. Yeah, I mean, I'm going back to my key takeaway. It's just really these guys create an atmosphere where they could create, collaborate, and put something together. Put something together. Sounds redundant, but it's not. You know, they are recognizing the strengths each member brings to the team, allowing them to exercise those strengths, giving creative freedom to Sam, for example, as the director. You know, they recognized that Sam was the key guy to go to for directing. It made sense because he spent the most time writing the script and putting all of their ideas into one document, and based on his experience in other forms of performance art. So yeah, they just recognize what they're good at. They hone in on it, and together they're collectively able to put together what is already shaping up to be an impressive film. I wish them the best of luck. If you're interested in helping them fund the project, they are, of course, planning on doing another Kickstarter, and they are also looking for some investors. So if you want to buy in to potentially take points on the film if it's picked up, you can contact them directly through their website, through me, through social media, and of course, some of that information is going to be in the show notes. But I think that's it. That's really the key takeaway. It was a blast. They're doing fun things. They're grinding, and I think it's going to pay off in the end. Matter of fact, I'm pretty damn sure about it. So I hope you continue to grind. I hope you get out there and create. And until next time, enjoy your random.